Hello. What's up, Travis? How you doing?
I'm living life and loving it, Bill. How are you?
I'm all right. I'm doing good. I just had a nice shower. I ran today. I'm on my fitness journey.
I love to hear that.
Yeah. I went to the track at Quincy, ran a mile, and then laid down in the grass and felt like I was going to puke and have a panic attack.
I could only imagine.
So I'm not quite there yet on my fitness journey, but I am on the way to becoming a Finsta influencer.
I must compliment you on that burly beard you have going. It
looks
lovely.
I'm going for the full thing, baby. I'm going for max length. Why not? What else am I doing? I'll just sit and grow a beard. Wait, this isn't just nobody. I am unaware of this. This looks like Red Metro has moved to IRL stalking. That is fascinating.
Oh, this isn't cool. Here, I'll show this.
What do we have?
It's an interesting way to start the show. Basically, him zoomed in on her text conversations.
Oh, geez. That's fucking creepy. Hey, this might help crack the code on whether. Oh my god! I'm gonna text Tracy right now. Who is sitting behind you? We're gonna crack the case wide open here.
This is fucking crazy.
I feel like there's someone creeping on you behind you. That is so fucking fucked up. Oh my god.
She's sitting alone at the school committee meeting because she's okay. That's probably enough of that. Cheesy peas. Because she's still invested in the school committee because she was surpriser on the school committee.
Yeah, and she's like been invested in the school committee for decades now. I mean, it's not. It's great that she's there. Actually,
Right.
I don't see what the problem is.
Yeah, no, that's legit creepy.
Yeah.
Did you see that Matthew No pissed off Chaya Rychek today?
No, I didn't see that either.
Yeah, she sent a bunch of goons after him basically on the internet, and that was accounts on lockdown. Poor guy.
Jeez. Crazy day.
It's an odd one. It's a weird day to be on the internet.
Yeah. Travis, can you throw me that video in the private chat so I can copy it over to my working document?
On it.
Thank you. Yeah, I can't copy off of the StreamYard, so but anyway, we have business tonight. We're watching the school committee city council yet again.
Seems like it might be a quick one. I know that's like the famous last words, but it doesn't seem tonight.
Right. So let's go through some of that stuff. The big thing tonight is going to be yet again the rental registry that everyone voted for and now wants to repeal. We have here's the agenda. I'll throw the agenda into the chat. 13 something is a thing from Eric Batista to cut the fees down and do some other stuff, but he's not giving up on the rental registry as some councilors would like him to. George Russell has two orders on in the 9 section, asking how you repeal an ordinance, and also waiving fees for the rental registry. So that's going to be another extremely productive conversation.
Yeah, and he wants people to be refunded too.
Yeah, right. What if, so 17, we have a petition that's, what if the city council and the city manager met weekly to discuss potholes? Which I'm saying that's what they already do. They already meet weekly to discuss pretty much exclusively potholes,
Do they
trash.
just roll out a giant map and they just start circling places?
I mean, that honestly, that if that's all they did, they would instantly become more popular than what they're doing right now. With like this rental registry is a very good example of an obviously corrupt political body. Would it surprise you to know that Mike Madulka, one of the landlords that spoke last week, is a campaign donor to Candy Merrill Carlson, a significant one.
Yeah.
And would it also surprise you to know that Mike Madulka was the contractor who took out the permit for the Mill Street roof collapse? That is the constituency that the city council is apparently more concerned with than, say, people who were displaced by a collapsed roof of an apartment building.
$750 from what I can see.
Yep. It's that's something I might do during the stream tonight, is look up all of his contributions, because it wouldn't surprise me if George Russell was getting some money. Wouldn't surprise me if Mo Bergman was getting some money. You know what I'm talking about? Everyone who's been vocally opposed to the rental registry might be getting some money from this guy and other guys like him. It's definitely what I'm going to write about this week for Worcester Sucks, because it's just a perfect example of the sort of low grade cartoonish corruption that we see on the city council.
Wasn't Candy also losing her mind about
this?
Yeah,
right. Candy was losing her mind to the point where she kind of caught to the fact she didn't even know that there was like a building code or a sanitary code that landlords are required to maintain with their apartments. Her being a property owner herself.
Right.
Very worrying, a very stupid thing to say publicly. In terms of legal liability down the road should anything happen at any of her apartments.
Yeah, but when has that stopped her?
Right. Yeah. I think that is the only thing that we're really going to see tonight. Christian King has another hilarious order on about having a tool for evaluating the city manager. We apparently don't have one of those. We don't have a rubric. We don't set expectations. When it comes time to review the city manager, we just talk for a couple hours about how nice a guy he is. And that is that. But anyway, hey, welcome to another round of Worcester Council Theater 3000. We love it. We love doing this. We love all the pain that we inflict on each other and all of you in the comments, and we appreciate you being here. We might be joined by some other people later. I don't know. I kind of just skimmed the group chat. I don't really know what was going on, but
I believe Brendan's joining us after 8:00.
Okay.
Hi, Molly.
Hi, Molly.
Bryan is battling zombies, it sounds like.
Okay, well, that's good for him. I wish him the best of luck in that.
Yeah, Tuesdays with zombies. Oh, Molly said hi, Bill, too.
Hi, Molly.
Can't break from
next Thursday, we're going to do the first edition of the book club.
Hell yeah.
So you should have an email about that if you signed up. And if you didn't, I put the information on the Rewind Patreon page. So I'll grab that real quick.
There's some cool stuff coming for people that sign up for the book club. So
yes,
if you're at all on the fence about it, you really should consider it and join up.
There we go. Also, the coffee shop that is attached to Rewind Video, 116 June Street, is open. Cordel's Coffee is open for business. I've had a couple cups of coffee from there. They're very nice, very good. And you can find all of that information and more at the Patreon link that I just sent over. Also, I'm duty bound to ask that you consider a membership to the Rewind Video Club to help us maintain the project of running a journalism operation out of a video store. If you like whimsy, sign up for that.
Do you have to read books to be part of the book club?
Yeah, you do actually.
Yeah,
that's,
okay.
That's kind of
the whole point.
I mean, if we have people showing up for the book club and they just want to talk about whatever the hell, I'm probably going to have to rule them out of order unless it's really funny. And then kind of going to have to rock with it. So next Thursday, the idea is that we're going to do an in-person book club with whoever shows up out of the video store. And we will also be broadcasting that via Twitch.
Oh, yeah.
So that is going to be an interesting experiment. We'll see how that goes. I think that probably what's going to have to happen is that people on Twitch will be mostly ignored, but can have conversations among themselves as we have an in-person conversation that they can be voyeurs to.
Yeah, but you didn't want to be excluded, so you guys can hang out together.
Yeah.
Safely in your own domiciles.
Yeah.
That should be interesting. I don't know. Yeah. I know a lot of people are stoked about the book you chose to start with.
Yeah, it's
There's
a great
interesting
book.
Stuff in there.
8 hours for what we will. It's a great book. In that Patreon link that I just put in the chat, there are links to PDFs for the introduction and first chapter, which is what we're going to be reading. It's order a book if you can find one, but it's kind of a hard book to find because it's from the 80s and it's about Worcester and it's kind of obscure.
What? So Christians trying to audit the Republican recount?
What? I didn't see. I don't know what that's referring to. Honestly, I guess I've been a little bit out of the loop. I'm not picking up on this stuff.
It's a gorgeous day. I didn't want to be inside today.
Yeah. It was nice to get outside for a second, for sure. It was a very nice day. Oh, I went up to freaking Vermont for the eclipse yesterday.
Did you really?
Yeah. I got into the path of totality. My friend. It was fine. We took back roads to avoid. It was very fun to be driving on little country back roads, going past 91 and seeing people in bumper to bumper traffic on the way back.
That does.
But it's definitely so worth it to get up there for that. It was a very cool experience, and we got to watch it on like this farm that had a big view of the mountains up in Vermont, so you could see it come across the field of vision, like the darkness. It was cool.
That's gnarly.
Yeah. On the way home, I mean, we took our time, but it did take a long time. But we decided that it'd be more fun to just drive nice little country roads and have it take 5 hours than sit for 5 hours on a highway.
Sitting in traffic makes me irate.
Rolling
slowly through back roads. That sounds lovely.
Yeah, we had podcasts going. It was chill. Apparently, people coming from Boston that tried to take 93 were completely fucked up Franconia notch to the point where it was like a major news story. But I mean, that makes so much sense. It's a 1-lane highway going through that mountain pass. It's like, what would you expect to happen if 250,000 people try to drive that thing at once?
Yeah, legitimate.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
But what are you gonna do? What are you gonna freaking do?
I went to Oriad Castle Street Park.
Nice.
The village were out there, and they had set up this cool, multi-station setup where you visited all the planets. And if you went all the planets, you got some NASA trading cards. It was really, really cool. I love those ladies. They do such a great job. And they had tons of people out there looking at the eclipse.
Yeah.
I did find it funny watching the Google Analytics of when my eyes hurt all of a sudden peaked right at the moment of totality with the eclipse. Brendan said that in the group chat.
Why do my eyes hurt?
Yeah. Or just my eyes hurt.
Yeah, right. Yeah, well, you are staring at the sun, so.
You were the sun? I'm so sorry, Maine South Mom. I did see Sally from the chat. I kind of just like breezed through the basketball courts.
Maine South Mom, you were dressed as the sun. That's awesome. Travis, you know what? I'm hoping and praying more than usual for a quick one.
Yeah, no, I would absolutely love a nice 90-minute banger.
Yeah, I think that the only thing that's going to hang us up here is the rental registry. And I think they must be exhausted by now on that. Like, what more is there to say, right?
Do you think the noise ordinance shit that's being held?
Oh, I forgot about the held stuff. Yeah, we have payment in lieu of taxes and noise ordinance. So you know what? Never mind, Travis. We're going to be here till
Worcester
midnight.
City Council.
Fuck.
If you can the allegiance and followed by the Star Spangled Banner.
All right, let's watch the stunning incompetence begin.
I muted, so we can.
Yeah.
I like how Mo puts one hand behind his back.
Right, he has his fingers crossed.
I don't mean it.
I don't love America.
Yeah, okay.
Katie just asked me to go what the pre-sale on Missy Elliott tweet.
Fuck
There's apparently some drama.
No, we absolutely think peasants should be sentenced to death by landlords. That's what lords do. They reign.
Who has the pre-sale code for Missy Elliott? We got to find the pre-sale code for Missy Elliott, people.
I would love to hear Missy Elliott's version of the national anthem. I bet that shit would slap.
Missy Elliott's Twitter bio is "I am the definition of avant-garde," which is a pretty sick thing to say.
Yeah, that is pretty rad.
I'm not seeing it.
My God, is this song long?
I would really appreciate like a push for them to just stop doing that because they don't have to.
They don't?
I was talking to no, of course not. It's not a law or anything. It's just tradition. I was talking with somebody in Western Mass for this podcast, The Weed Out, and they said that at I think it was East Hampton City Council, they have 3 people go around in a circle every time, and they all just say, "God bless East Hampton," like 3 of them in a row after they do the pledge and the Star Spangled Banner.
Gross.
So it could be worse, folks.
Yeah, that's fair. It genuinely could be worse.
I'm sorry. Approve of the minutes. All those in roll call.
Councilor Bergman?
Yes.
Councilor Calorio?
Yes.
Councilor Agie?
Yes.
Councilor King?
Yes.
Councilor Merrill Carlson? Councilor Nguyen?
I saw 2 out there yesterday. I saw
Nice.
Christian King out there.
Yes.
Councilor Russell?
Yes.
Councilor Toomey?
Yes.
And Mayor Petty?
Yes. Public participation. A person may speak for no more than 2 minutes on the appearing agenda. Just your name, say your residence. and
Just
item
popping
number.
those peas.
Thank you. Fred Nathan, Worcester. So 9A, they're asking for a report on the process and cost associated with the hand recount. To me, it sounds like a political ploy here.
Good job, Fred.
Political ploy.
I read this over.
Oh yeah, that's what that is.
I don't know. The city, the request the city manager to work with the police chief and the state's delegation to install license plate readers on Country Club Boulevard. I don't know, but it sounds
Fred, you
like
don't
it
drive.
could be unconstitutional. Just a guess. Maybe.
Fred, there's
This
license
lady's
plate
loving
readers.
him.
There's license plate readers all over the city, Fred. Don't.
Is your name, say your residence, item number?
Good evening.
Yeah, they're called
I'm
eyeballs.
Lauren Gassick. I own 14 properties in Worcester, and I have
Okay.
for over 35 years. When we rent to a Section 8
Brag about
tenant,
it.
their apartment, and I'm talking about the rental registration issue that you're considering. When we rent to a Section 8 tenant, their apartment is inspected every year. They agree to this ahead of time. It's in their contract. They must be present, and I'm usually present also. It helps both of us if I'm present. Our other tenants have not agreed to this, to have their apartment inspected. They have a very extensive rental agreement prepared by
to see you, Yenny.
masslandlords.net, and it does not include a forced inspection. I would like you to really consider this. It would be certainly a difficult issue for them. The Section 8 tenants, of course, a great deal
Because of the
their
rental
rent is being
registry,
paid
every
by
apartment would
Section
have
8.
to be inspected.
So, they of course agree to the inspection. I would like you to reconsider
On a rolling
this, please.
basis.
It would be
Yeah.
a real hazard for some of my tenants and probably for me. Besides, it is not
That's
what they
probably
agreed
not the
to
worst thing.
in
I
their
mean, it's a
very
little bit of an
extensive
invasion of
rental
privacy,
agreement.
but
Thank you.
Thank you.
did they come together?
Wow.
John Provost of Worcester. Mr. Mayor, I also want to speak on 13F. I lived for many years in an apartment courtesy of Frank Zidimirsky on Castle Street, who's the other item to rezone. I'm glad you'll do that because he really needs to be able to develop his property. Anyway, 13F, I now am in Section 8, and we do agree every year to be inspected. But people in private apartments, no, this is it's an invasion of privacy. It's not something that
I agree
we
with what he's
agree
saying,
to, and it's going to
but he
be
is
just
giving
make
it like
everything.
a
It's just
character.
a way to
Like he's an
make
SNL
things more
character.
expensive and find fault, and then it's going to push out lower income people because they're usually in units that might not be quite right. But we're adults, we're Americans, and we agree when we go into a place, and we agree to not complain if we were. I used to be a very laissez-faire
We're adults.
arrangement
We're
that we had, and it
Americans.
kept the rent down, and I was able to live in a private apartment all these years without going into Section 8. So please,
Please.
just keep Worcester free. Thank you.
Thank you.
Since when has Worcester been free?
Is your name, say your residence and item number?
That's awesome.
Good evening. My name is Dr. Charles Fox. I'm a professor at Worcester State University, as well as the director of the WSU General Education Program and a former dean.
Professor, put
I'm
it
also
towards
a
your mouth.
resident and a homeowner in Precinct 2 of Worcester. Today, you'll be asked to vote on Agenda Item 10A, a resolution in favor of the Cherish Act. And I am here today to urge you to pass this resolution. The Cherish Act is legislation that will require the state to fully fund our public higher education system. This new revenue from the Fair Share Amendment gives us the opportunity for transformative investments in public higher education
I can get
that
behind
will
that.
address decades.
It would be
of
funny to make a
underfunding.
bunch of Keep Worcester free shirts.
It will
Just
first
keep
allow
Worcester
students to graduate
free.
free from public higher education.
Free to die in a
And further,
fire.
it will allow our institutions to recruit and retain highly qualified educators who will be able to do their work and also afford to live in the community in which they work. This underfunding has resulted in faculty hiring freezes and both failed faculty searches and loss of excellent faculty to better resourced positions elsewhere. The Cherish Act is important to me personally. As the son of a working class parents who did not complete grade school and the first one in my family to attend college, I directly know the transformative power of higher education. My education has greatly improved my life and allowed me to develop safety net clinics and programs that have aided thousands of underserved people and added millions to the economies of Baltimore, Maryland, and Wichita, Kansas. After a long professional career that includes both public and elite private institutions, in 2012, I chose to leave private universities and return to Massachusetts, the home of my PhD and my OD education, and to spend the rest of my career giving back to the state that gave me so much. Since the Morrill Act of 1862, public education has been recognized as a public good. However, we've lost that vision. And I can
Scott's just
understand
going to
why.
walk up and whack him.
At WSU, 98% of our graduates are employed or in graduate school within 3 months of graduation. This is a wonderful achievement for first-generation students like me. But equally significant is that 90% of these students work in Massachusetts, pay
think it's a
taxes,
fish.
and contribute to the economy.
Can you wrap up your comments?
2:45. Joe's on it tonight.
I guess I would just thank you and really urge you to support the Cherish Act by investing in higher education through the state budget. Thank you.
Thank you. Is your name, your residence, and item number?
Thank you. My name is Bill Lundmark, and I am a resident at Brookline Street in Worcester, Massachusetts. I've been here since 2016, and I'm following up
Got
my
him.
colleague Charlie Fox's comments. And what I want to do is also support or urge the council to pass, urge the legislature to pass the Cherish Act. What I'd like to point out to you all is the economic impact of colleges, that the impact that colleges can have on a community. Right here, I have a newspaper article from October 26, 2023 of the Worcester Business Journal. And I'll just cite a couple of passages here.
Time for a
First
reading
of all,
for the
the
Worcester Business
five-school
Journal.
University of Massachusetts system generated $8.3 billion from the Massachusetts in 2022.
Amen.
More relevant to Worcester, UMass Chan had construction
They are
spending
wearing the same
that
shirt,
accounted for $94 million in spending in Worcester
and they're
this year,
friends.
whereas the state invested a mere $60 million in the school during fiscal 22. So there you can see over a 50% return on the investment that the state made in UMass Chan. Now, I don't have the exact figures for Worcester State University, where I work as the electronic resources librarian, along with my colleague Charlie Fox, who's on the faculty.
See, they're buddies.
However, you can figure that any
Charlie,
money
let's wear
that
the red
Cherish
shirt,
Act
the maroon
brings
shirt.
to Worcester State University is going to impact this community in a very positive way. It would be a very good investment for this community.
Our hair grows and we
Just to
age.
give you an example of
very
what
slightly.
has happened over the past several years because of COVID and dropping enrollments, we had a $7 million budget deficit to close at Worcester State this current fiscal year. And one of the things that we felt we had to do was to eliminate the parking for our resident students. We have about 1,800 resident students, as well as about 3,700 commuters and part-timers who are coming to our school. And most of them have cars.
Yeah, but
and
they
all
don't
need
stick
parking,
around
and
and they
we all need
barely leave the
parking as faculty.
campuses.
However,
Yeah.
because
been
of
the issue
this
for
budget
years.
deficit, which we had to close, we had to discontinue
We have a retention problem.
leasing
We've always had a retention
parking
problem.
for our resident
Yeah.
students
Because
on Goddard Drive. There's a parking lot right
Why?
opposite.
why would you?
TJ Maxx.
I mean,
That's where we had our students
That's the
park.
question.
Now, I
If we're
don't
not
know what the
honestly,
landlord is doing with the
we're not
loss
being
of
honest about that
$200,000
question,
a year in income, whether
we're not
his-
going to solve it.
certainly he's not
No, you're not
paying
wrong.
any taxes on that
Sure.
money.
Can you wrap up your comments still?
Okay, yes. And we also had to discontinue the shuttle service which is another $55,000. So there you have a loss of at least one job, I would think. But all that money is no longer coming into the community and being spread around. And with that, I would urge you once again to urge the legislature to pass the Cherish Act. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Adela. Oh, maybe not.
From the item number?
So I am Margaret Wong, and I teach English at Quinsigamond Community College. I'm here also to urge you to support the resolution in support of the Cherish Act. At Quinsigamond Community College, our students take classes, but they need to actually graduate. That's the bigger thing. It's easy enough for people to come to the community college, and we say this, right? Community college, go there, it's a great thing, but they don't have the resources to stay and graduate, and we don't have the resources to keep the wraparound services to make sure that our students stay there and graduate. It's graduation that actually lends the lifelong accumulation of wealth. That's what's the necessary thing. So I'm in the middle now of teaching, as we do, the research paper. What is it that the student want to do to research more than anything else at this point? Inflation. They are interested in inflation. They want to know why inflation is preventing them from being able to get, the life that they were promised. We just had spring break. What did my students do during spring break? Did they go to Florida? Did they go and enjoy life? No, they picked up extra hours because they need that in order to make ends meet. The Cherish Act will help the wraparound services that can lead our students to actually graduate from the community's colleges. So it's necessary, really, really necessary for a city like Worcester to support the Cherish Act and make sure that our students have the resources to stay the course until they graduate, because that's the crucial thing. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Richard Shea. I reside at 2 Wrexham Road in Worcester. I've lived there for 50 years with my wife and 2 sons who are now grown up and have their own children and families. And I want to thank Councilor Candy Merrill Carlson for bringing this.
Mike Madulka is a George Russell donor too.
I'd just like to say I worked
There it is.
in public education for 34 years.
Joe Early,
And,
George Russell, Candy Merrill
at the
Carlson.
middle school level.
Kate Toomey.
And I found it a very fulfilling vocation. But there are a lot of needs that need to be met that haven't been met. Now we have the Fair Share Amendment passed. We have the resources to do this. In summary, the Cherish Act establishes a blueprint for a world-class system of public education
Nice
that
fix.
is urgently needed to meet widely shared goals in the Commonwealth.
Math for business
If passed,
is pretty
it would enable people of all
applicable math,
backgrounds
specifically
in
for
every
my life, but
community to build successful and fulfilling lives,
it's more than solving
address
for X in a lot
economic,
of
social,
situations.
and racial equity gaps, meet our state's climate change goals, create high-quality workplaces with fair wages and benefits to attract and retain faculty and staff, enable new discoveries and innovation, and invest in a competitive workforce that is the engine of our state's and our city's economy. And I'll just point out one inequity that is startling and really disgraceful. We have adjunct faculty at our community colleges and state colleges, but primarily in the I want to address it at the community college level. They do not have any benefits. They have to work in several institutions just to put food on the table and pay the bills. And they have earned their higher education diplomas. And it is just disgraceful that they have to do this. And it denies the students office hours, many of them that need counseling, that need some way of getting out whatever impediments they may have.
Can you wrap up your comments?
So
Thank you.
where's the money going?
So I urge you to support this resolution.
Because
10A,
the endowments are getting bigger.
and I thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Yep.
And I've made copies of this in
Oh,
summary. I
thank
mean, you
God.
have a copy of the bill to refer to, but it's pretty long and very vocal, very.
They're not going to read it.
involved.
Yeah, really. They're going to file that right in the trash.
Is your name, city, your residence?
Idella Hazard, City of Worcester. In regards to 13F, the
Arthur Maradian, the other
adoption of the amendment to the rental property.
landlord who spoke. Kenny Carlson donor.
Inspection program.
Donna Colorio, Kate Toomey.
It doesn't say once a year. It says periodic. What's that? Every 6 months, every 3 months? Even with the Section 8, when I get a notice that they're going to inspect a tenant's apartment, I have to let them know when, and then they get a notice too, which means they're encouraged to work part-time, even though they're on Section 8. That means they have to take time off from work. Somebody has to be there. They have to be there. I can't let them in my tenant's apartment. So they have to take time off from work. So now for periodic inspections, they have to take more time off from work.
All right, let's get some proof.
And if somebody,
Let's get some proof that that guy doesn't pay his water bills. Send a link in the chat.
those are more periodic
I'll
inspections.
include that in the newsletter.
So
We want receipts.
this puts me and the tenant in a bind, but especially the tenant, because they have to take time off from work all this time. That needs to be considered. The schedule needs to be arranged so that we're not putting the tenant in a bind so that they have to.
We'll do it
take
on
all this
holidays
time off
only.
From work, because it's costly. Because they're on Section 8, they're low income. The landlord often has to rent to low income people. So why would we want them?
Don't
to
do that,
lose
Vix.
Time from work. Thank you.
Thank you. Is your name, city, residence, and the item number that you're speaking?
Snap a cell phone pic next time.
Yes, my name is Ahmad Esfahani. I'm a resident of Greenfield. I'm here tonight simply to inform the city of Worcester of my intention to run in the upcoming congressional primary for
No,
district.
you can't do that here. I'm sorry. You're going to be out of order. Okay.
All right, thank you.
Respectfully so. Okay.
What the fuck was that? What was that?
Someone just tried to announce his campaign against McGovern.
Terry Kelly, Worcester. 13F. Instead of going to
That was
people's
someone
houses and checking them out,
trying to announce their
why don't you
candidacy for the
just go
second
and
congressional
check
district.
the everything that
And
the
Joe was
Board of
like, no, you
Health
can't
has
do that
checked
here,
on
which
for the
is
past
true.
year
You can't do that.
and do a review.
It's not on the
Something like
Do an audit and
Afghani.
review of
I didn't catch his
everything and
name.
make sure everything is straight and lawful, okay? Do a complete review of everything that year. Call up the people, ask questions. And 7S,
Good fucking luck running against Jim
Gordon
McGovern.
Davis?
It's just
I'm absolutely for this.
that's not
Okay.
a
I
democratically
agree with
available
everything
seat.
that he says here. The city should request and consider.
That's like
public
being
hearings
that's like being
concerning,
like yeah.
equity and audit of the.
We
police
talk about like
department.
these
All of
dictatorships
this,
and
from
we're
its
like, oh, they're
projects,
not
everything.
those aren't real elections. And it's like any congressman
have a
or senator,
diversity
it's like those
office
are not
position
real elections.
within there or even at City Hall. Actually, City Hall would be better. I totally agree with Gordon Davis.
Oh, Putin got 90% of the
There should
vote.
definitely
It's
be
like Jim
a major situation here.
There's a guy
Jim
asleep.
As far as
Oh yeah.
The guy with the fish.
Oh, we got a
Fish
sleeper.
guy.
For the 13F for the rentals, you're wasting money. You already have all the information. Who owns what's a rental? You have the information. Do a review of all the Board of Health, all the reports. Do a review, call the people, find out what happened. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's
Okay, see nobody else.
Oh, he's up.
Oh, okay, another question. Is your name, city of residence, and item number?
Yes, thank you. My name is C. Morin. I am a resident of Fitchburg, and this is for Order 9I, the request to put 14-year-olds
sleeper count.
the ability to get a busking license. And thank you so much for this opportunity. So as a representative of Fam Jam Entertainment Group, I stand before you today to lend my wholehearted support to the proposed agenda item
Fam Jam.
regarding the inclusion
Yeah,
of
it's Jeff
14-year-olds in the eligibility
Killebrew's
criteria for obtaining
event.
funding or busking licenses.
I
in
did the
our beloved
logo.
city of Worcester.
Oh, cool.
Allow me to share with you a perspective
He's
close to
ran
my
it out
heart,
on
one
Park a
that
couple
resonates
times.
deeply with the mission of our Worcester
I like the guy a
resident
lot, but he has
We
a
envision a community
current
where
issue
every
with
individual,
his
regardless of
event
their
that he's trying to
circumstances,
throw.
has the opportunity
He's
to
throwing
thrive
a
and
Worcester
succeed.
Renaissance
And in this
Festival
vision
that
lies a special place
sounds
for our
like
youth,
any other
especially
Renaissance
those who
festival, but
face
it's not.
adversity
It's
and
supposed to be
instability in
about
their lives.
BIPOC artists.
You
And he
see,
just
I've had
keeps
the
saying,
privilege of
this
working
is not a
closely with children
Renaissance
who have
fair.
experienced severe trauma and carry the burden
Call
of
it
attachment
anything else, my
disorders.
dude.
For these resilient souls, traditional familial
Because I'm not saying
structures
the idea is
often fail
bad.
to
It's
provide the
just
support
poorly
and
named.
nurturing that they desperately need. But tonight I present to you a revolutionary idea, a pathway to
Oh, man.
empowerment and self-discovery for these young minds. Imagine a program where these youth, as young as 14, are not just handed a summer job, but are offered the chance to embark on an entrepreneurial journey. Guided by mentors and supported by a professional network, they would not only learn the ropes of business, but also discover the power of self-branding, a journey towards self-empowerment, awareness, and self-esteem. I've had the
Oh, we
privilege
got a
of
sleeper
working
again.
with organizations like E4All Greater
Is there
Worcester,
anything to
Fostering
stop a
Change,
kid right
and their
now from going
enthusiasm
out and starting
for
to
this
play
initiative is
music and
palpable.
putting out a guitar
Through
case?
structured mentorship and guidance, we can provide these
No, I
vulnerable
mean,
youth
like the
with
cops could get
purpose
called,
and
but
belonging,
they'll probably
a
just be
chance
like,
to
don't do
rewrite their
this. And you can
narratives
go,
and shape their
okay.
destinies. But
I
this
won't.
isn't just about
Go
economic
somewhere else. I don't
empowerment
know.
or community enrichment. It's about helping them to forge bonds.
Because it kind of
bridge
feels
gaps,
weird to
and
have a
pave the way
program
for
where we're
brighter futures for
encouraging
them.
14-year-olds to
extending
go
this
out and play.
opportunity
Because
to
then
our
it kind of
most
feels like
vulnerable
we're forcing them
populations, we
to
not only offer
play
them
for our
means of livelihood,
entertainment in
but also a sense
arguably
of dignity and of agency.
uncomfortable
So tonight,
conditions.
I urge you to consider the profound impact of this proposal
I don't
by
know.
removing barriers and opening
Not to
doors.
sound like a
I don't know.
naysayer.
A new
I'm just a
era
horse
of
over here.
disability opportunity, one where every child, regardless of their past and circumstances, can dare to dream and strive for greatness. I want to thank you for your time and consideration. Together, let us make the Worcester Renaissance Project a beacon of hope and a possibility for generations to come. Thank you.
Oh,
I
that
think
was
Eric.
cute.
I think Eric's on the brink
Is your
with
name,
this
city of
rental
residence,
registry
and item
thing,
number?
and he might flip. Here he is.
Good evening. My name is Jeffrey Killebrew. I'm a resident here in Worcester, Massachusetts. And I want to say good afternoon, City Council. Appreciate the opportunity to come and speak as a community member, but not only as a community member, but as president and founder of Fam Jam Event Group, 501c3. We have developed a community project initiative called the Worcester Renaissance Project. Our mission is to create easier access to rules and fees, fostering greater transparency and equity in the vendor application process. We aim to develop and assist ethnic minority street vendors and performers, ensuring their placement in high foot traffic areas managed by the City of Worcester, thus increasing tourism and their chances of success. Our vision is to develop, establish, and promote Worcester as the premier location in New England for ethnic minorities to start a business as a street vendor or performer, and for tourists and locals to experience what they have to offer. Part of our mission has a strong focus on empowering youth. When I compared the application process to Boston, I found that youth as young as 14 years old could acquire a hawkers and peddlers license with a permit provided by the superintendent's office. Excuse me. This would empower youth to not just have summer jobs, but start summer businesses.
I still have to read the city manager's Substack, but
receiving support from
I
the
wouldn't say
community.
it's hilarious
When I
that he has a
inquired of
Substack.
our Worcester
Are you going to
Police
this?
Department, where you apply for the license.
Oh, yeah.
We don't have a precedent for young people.
Oh, we got to be
applying.
all over that.
I was told that they would be willing to sign up for a 17-year-old if they came in with a parent. But again, they had nothing in writing regarding that. So when I asked our superintendent's office, They said they would be willing to provide the work permit because that's something that they usually do anyway. But we're unable to stand with me in the support of this tonight because they're waiting for the district to be able to take a position on this. So I'm in the process of inquiring of the district to take a position, being the student committee or the school committee. So the purpose of this project is to create structure and show others how to become a street vendor, how to become a street performer, and make a business of it. So I would appreciate your support in item 9I, and maybe, I'm not sure exactly what the process is, to have the police department have youth incorporated in the writing of the document, but we would promote that as now a new opportunity for youth to use their creativity and start a business as a street vendor or a street performer.
Would they have to file taxes? I mean, they would have to make more than $600.
Questions about this project to reach out to famjameventgroup@gmail.com or find us on Facebook as FamJam
Can you wrap up the comments?
Worcester 2024. Thank you so much.
Okay. We have someone on the online.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We have 2 call-in users. I'm going to try to identify the first one, Yanni DeRoche. I'm going to try to mute the resident now.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes. What's your name,
Okay.
residence?
This is Yanni DeRoche in Worcester. I have comments on 7B, 7C, and 9F, 13F, and I also support items 9C, 10A, and 10B. On item 7T, I agree with the item goal, but the city needs to move beyond patchwork solutions and adopt a long-term, cost-effective system. For example, there are tools out there that can collect and analyze data from devices installed on public vehicles to automate road condition assessments, allowing for real-time status reports and repair prioritization. This would eliminate the need for manual reporting and provide a comprehensive,
Then they wouldn't have Map Mondays, Yanni.
infrastructure to work off of.
Yeah.
In disagreement on items 9F and 13F,
Shut down Brew on the grid, pull out the map, and
council
draw the lines.
unanimously approved this almost 2 years ago. The rollout was a little problematic, but it's mostly a small faction of people that are fueling public outcry. As a landlord, I fully support this rental registry, and I believe it doesn't even go far enough. Yearly inspections are
Sounds like a
standard for
clear
most
ethic.
landlords. This only adds one every 5 years. This is not a problem for tenants. Removing or significantly
big enough as
reducing
it is.
fines
Shrewsbury
removes the
can stay
teeth
where
of
they
this
are.
necessary step to protect residents from unsafe conditions that they may not feel safe reporting. The ability to contact owners and property managers
just more
also,
nuance.
in a quickly
We need to
manner
balkanize Worcester.
can also save lives in an emergency. Can also be used to alert them
Tatnook,
before they become
Greendale,
I also support allowing Section 8 inspections to
North
count
Webster,
every 5 years.
West Grafton.
On item 7B, I strongly support the intent
Burncoat?
behind this item to improve the
I
city
feel like
manager.
Burncoat and Greendale are the same town.
We
Fair
need to
enough.
What is the
take a more
difference between Burncoat and
comprehensive
Greendale?
approach
No,
than
it's the same
suggested.
Yeah.
Councilor King's proposal for a performance
South
evaluation
Boylston?
process is important, but I disagree with relying on the HR department that reports to the city manager.
And then downtown can just be
We
called Polar
need a
Parkville.
more comprehensive.
It'll be called the
external
grid.
perspective.
That's
Other
what they
towns
wanted
and
people to
cities
call it.
nationwide, like Cambridge, employ data-driven evaluation systems.
That's so
using
funny because it's not
goals
even
that are
gridded.
Specific, measurable,
not.
achievable, relevant, and time-bound. Such models can be adapted to our needs, ensuring objective
Divide and
assessments
conquer.
of our city's
You know,
project.
Greendale will implode in on itself. Go belly up in a couple of years.
Beyond just refining evaluations, we need a larger shift. The city council needs to provide the
West-
city manager with
North
clear
Webster?
prioritized goals to succeed. Without them, we have nothing
Mafia
to measure
Haven,
them
I
against.
think, pretty
By
quickly.
engaging with organizations, I've got just one more sentence. Engaging organizations and consultants like International City Managers Association and the Massachusetts Municipal Association, we can get valuable expertise and resources to guide that so that we can comprehensively and quantitatively evaluate the city manager instead of the current qualitative opinion-based system. Thank you.
Pick some hard words there at the end, Yanni.
Yeah.
Mr. Mayor, the last call in.
Nice job, Yanni.
Phone number and the last 4 digits, 1144. I'm going to try to mute that
Uh-oh.
number now. Can you please press *9?
Holden Light.
Hi. Can you hear me?
Yes. Is your
Hello?
name, and
Hi.
say your name and say your residence?
Perfect. My name is Emma Narquist.
Oh,
and I'm a
Emma. Uh-oh.
We lost her.
It's saying I'm muted. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay. For some reason, it told me I was muted. I'm sorry. My name is Emma Narquist. I'm a resident of the city of Worcester, and I'm here to speak in opposition of items 9E and 9F and in favor of 13F. As a renter in the city of Worcester for 7 years now, and probably for a couple more years, given how things are looking, I just wanted to say firsthand, as a renter, I am so in support of the rental registry. I've heard some statements made that it's an inconvenience to
I tried to mute
renters,
her,
that
but
it's
she
invasive.
powered through
And
it.
as a renter who has tried to raise safety and sanitation concerns with landlords and even offered to pay for inspections, I think this is so necessary. Because as a renter right now, if there's a safety concern and I raise it with my landlord and they decide not to address it or bring in an inspector, I'm in a really tough space because I can't afford to just up and leave. There's not open apartments I can afford, and I'm not in a place where I can risk bringing in an inspector or continuing raising concerns and potentially having my landlord decide not to renew my lease or raise my rent. And that means that I'm vulnerable, and many other renters in the city are vulnerable. And that's why we have this rental registry. And so I want to applaud City Manager Batista and Councilor Haji for your leadership. I want to thank people from Inspectional Services that shared how this is very important for them to effectively and efficiently do their work. And I would just want to say to all the landlords out there that if you are following the law, if your buildings are up to code and you're following inspections, then I think you should have nothing to worry about. And we need this. It shouldn't be an option whether or not your buildings want to be up to code. And how it is now, we have no means to ensure that renters in the city are safe. So I urge all of you to support this as soon as possible. It is so necessary. It will save lives. And I really, really urge you to consider passing this rental registry. Thank you so much for your time and consideration.
Thank you.
Good comment, Emma.
So, Mr. Mayor, that ends public participation on mine.
Okay.
Yes.
Do it part of the meeting.
We love a quick public participation.
Right, is we have the resolution.
I mean, not quick, but
the registry. So
Good enough. Yeah.
those items after we go through a first part here of the meeting. 7.
What other cities
8,
have city managers and not
7B, 7
elected
7A is refer to
mayors?
the planning board. 7B,
Cambridge
for the public works.
is
7G,
a notably similar style of government, more than you'd think.
7R, the study hearing for May 7th regarding.
I've never looked into that.
In Webster. Roll call.
L.A.
Council Bergman?
Yes. Really?
Council Calorio?
Yeah.
Yes.
Council Haji?
Yes.
Council King?
Yes.
Council Member Carlson?
Yes.
Council Nguyen?
Yes.
Council Ojeda?
Yes.
Council Pasillo?
Yes.
Council Russell?
Yes.
Council Toomey?
Yes.
And Mayor Petty.
Yes. Okay. 7S, going days, request the council request city
Miami.
public hearings concerning the equity audit of the police department and release the public records of the police department misconduct and hate
Fascinating.
incidents in the diversity officer position and plans concerning the merger of human rights with the diversity office. I think we did most of this, I think. Well, yeah,
Every
we
meeting
definitely
feels
went
like
over
that,
public
Joe.
Meetings, and we've talked about the other 2 items also, so I think we can follow this. It's all right. All those in favor, opposed, so ordered. In 7T is Beth Dyer requests the council meet with the city manager on a weekly basis to discuss the need for funding of fixed potholes. You can send that to the
Map
manager. I know
Mondays.
We're not going to meet every week, but we can.
On the weekends? That's nice of you,
I
Joe.
apologize. You were going at a pretty good clip, Mr. Chairman. 7H is an item that I put on as a petition, and I talked to Councilor Ojeda. He's got 7K, which supersedes 7H. So instead of sending that out, I would just ask that be filed.
Which one, 7K?
7H.
7A? Okay.
H is in.
Okay, so motion is reconsider first, roll call. On 7H.
Council Bergman?
Yes.
Council Calorio?
Yes.
Council Haji?
Yes.
I don't think any other person alive could act like Joe
Yes.
Petty. He is a singular individual.
Council Nguyen?
Yes.
Council Ojeda?
Yes.
Council Pasillo?
We still got our sleeper there.
Yes.
Council Toomey?
Yes.
And Mayor Petty.
Yes.
He really wanted to
Motion
make a public
file
comment.
7H, roll call.
Council Bergman?
Yes.
Council Calorio?
Yes.
Council Haji? Council King? Councilmember Carlson.
Yes.
Councilor Nguyen.
Yes.
Councilor Ojeda.
Yes.
Council Pasillo.
Yes.
Council Russell.
Yes.
Council Toomey.
Yes.
And Mayor Petty.
Yes. 7T, we can send to the city manager. Roll call.
Rocco.
Council Bergman.
Yes.
Council Calorio.
Yes.
Council Hajia.
Yes.
Council King.
Yes.
Councilmember Carlson.
Yes.
Council Nguyen.
Yes.
Council Ojeda.
Yes.
Council Pasillo.
Yes.
Council Russell.
Yes.
Council Toomey. And Mayor Petty.
Yes. 8A and 8B.
We should make a shirt of all the mispronunciations from this, all the best ones of all the city council members, and we'll draw them poorly.
Okay.
Like Mayor Putty, Mayor Councilor Basillo.
Okay.
I think it'd be funny.
What did Christian just say?
Okay, take a roll call on it then. 7S. Roll
So,
call.
Mr. Mayor, 7S to file. Council Bergman.
Yes.
Council Calorio.
Yes.
Council Hajia. I'm sorry.
Yes.
Just a point of order, Mr. Chairman, which item?
7S.
Oh my God, guys, get it the fuck
Sam?
together.
Yes.
Okay.
Council King.
No.
Councilmember Carlson.
Yes.
Council Nguyen.
Yes.
Council Ojeda.
Yes.
Council Pasillo.
Yes.
Council Russell.
Yes.
Council Toomey.
Yes.
And Mayor Petty.
Yes. Chairman's orders 8A and 8B. Motion was adopt. Roll call.
Council
It's a
Bergman.
good shirt,
Yes.
Epic.
Council Calorio.
Yes.
Council Hajia.
Yes.
Council King. Councilmember Carlson. Council Nguyen.
Yes.
Council Ojeda.
Yes.
Council Pasillo.
Yes.
Council Russell.
Yes.
Council Toomey.
Yes.
And Mayor Petty.
Yes. We can go out of order. We have some people in the audience here tonight. So 10A, that City Council, City of Worcester is hereby urged the legislature to pass the Cherish Act, that a copy of the resolution shall forthwith be sent to the state legislature delegation. Councilmember Carlson.
As it reads.
Come
Yes,
on.
Mr. Chairman. I also believe that you had signed on to this order as well. Just, Mr. Chairman, just wanted to bring to folks' attention, and I'm sure that they already know that it's in their packet.
Good shirt.
Our entire delegation, from our senators to our state reps, have all signed on to this. This is something that
Every day, it's like
on for
one of my
a
favorite
very
parts
long
of late
time, trying
Curb Your
to,
Enthusiasm seasons
get
is just
this
like
passed,
the
and,
outfits that Susie wears.
I think
And
that we're
our city
long
council
overdue for
has that same sort of humor going on.
here in,
Yeah, this is a flower
Commonwealth
sack
of
dress.
Massachusetts. As we heard tonight from the speakers from the MTA and those.
This is like
who
what a
were
child in the movie
field,
Midsummer would be wearing.
and we all know.
Dance
the
around
power
in
of
effigy.
education, Along with these folks certainly working and paying taxes. And we know the economic
it's airy as
impact
shit.
here in the city of Worcester, because certainly we have a lot of our higher education institutes here. So, and we also heard tonight that this Cherish Act will also help with the wraparound services that we talk so much about all the time for the folks here in our community. And again, I think that this resolution, what we're looking to do is just sign on with our.
Cats away the mice will
delegation
play,
At
Campbell.
the State House, that we are supporting them. And of course, we support our folks at the MTA. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Chairman.
Councilor King.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to commend Councilor Carlson for bringing this forward. And I'd like to sign on. If I sneeze, it's allergies, so bear with me. Just wanted to quickly comment. We've had a number of resolutions come before this body, during my time on the council. And folks always want to know, well, why are we doing that? And I think Councilor Carlson's hit the nail on the head. I want to kind of clarify for folks who are questioning what we're doing.
Checking into that right now,
Folks who
Yanni.
Say, hey, we're not state reps, we're not state senators. What we are is an elected body, the second largest city in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. And this will be wind at the backs of our delegation that have already committed to this, Mr. Chairman. So I want to make sure I took the opportunity to do that. Supporting the Cherish Act is a signal that we value public education And, you know, as a frontline social worker, I know firsthand some of the challenges we have as our young folks matriculate from our public schools, our private high schools, from, you know, our vocational schools onto furthering their vocations and their educations, Mr. Chairman. And
being able
the
Worcester
to,
Renaissance Fair, just scrolled across it.
being able to access the
Flyer.
wraparound services that our
And it's
community
like,
schools
it's
are
so hard.
certainly very
I
important.
want to support him.
And, you know, I wanted to also point out.
Yeah, I want to support him,
this
but
establishment of a commission on
Jeff,
wage
just come up with a
equity and
different
working
name.
conditions. Making sure that gender discrimination, race. and the
Sorry,
like,
George Seption.
and
I
age
fixed the chat.
Age will impact us in the sense of, you know, looking at how to improve the wealth gap.
George, drop it in.
And, you know, it's always led by our scholars. And
This is so important.
folks
This is
strive to
a great community
more,
resource that you're giving us.
than they are. And for the folks that are first generation high school graduates, my wife is first generation graduate from Worcester State College, which is now Worcester State University.
Dude, it's real. That's
I know
so sick.
firsthand the importance of that. So very much appreciate this and appreciate all the work that's going towards educating our young folks and helping them, you know, navigate their path in life. So thank you to the folks that are doing that, and thank you again to Council Carlson. And I'd like to sign on.
Okay, good job, and Member Councilor King, thank you. So we'll take a roll call on the resolution. Roll call.
Council Bergman?
Yes.
Council Calorio?
Yes.
Council Adjei?
Yes.
Council King?
Yes.
You're the
Councilmember
best,
Carlson?
George Seption.
Council Nian?
Yes.
Council Ojeda?
Sorry you had to
Council
go through
Pasillo?
so much.
Council Russell?
Yes.
Council Toomey?
Yes.
And Mayor Petty?
Yes.
George
did.
he says thank you. We went to the eclipse.
We'll take a hand once in a while. We usually don't get that. So thank you. Okay. We're going to go to the proposed ordinance on 13F. City manager recommending adoption of the amendment to the rental
Oh
property
boy,
registration
rental
program,
registry time.
rental
Here we
program,
go.
Inspection program ordinance, and also we have Council Russell's item. Request city manager consider waiving all fees to enter the rental registration program and issue a refund to anyone who has paid thus far. Okay. I'll say a few words, I guess. Chris.
Oh, Joe's first to talk. That's awful, Yanni.
This is Joe running cover for sure. Joe is going to be not hostile Joe. He's going to be nice cheerleader Joe on this one.
So, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And let's get down for a few minutes. Just want to speak on this a little bit and why I support this program. I think it just, in my mind, it saves people's lives. At the end of the day, this is the purpose of this. It's about the safety of people that live in the city of Worcester. It's also the safety of our firefighters and inspection service people here in the city of Worcester. And I look at that. Could we always do things better? Yeah, we always can do things better. There could have been a better rollout, probably could have been a better rollout. But people spent about 2 years on this to try to get this up and running. And that shouldn't really go unnoticed. I know there's some confusion on this issue. And when it first got rolled out, whether you own the property, whether you own a lot, whether you're a nonprofit, whether you're renting out a room, it's all part of this. And it all played out. But I don't take away what the council listened to people and constituents who called up and had some issues. And that's our jobs. The district councils probably heard it more than maybe some of the large councils. And Councilor Russell got up several times to speak about this because he heard from his constituents. We don't have to agree or disagree, but he heard from his constituents. He did his job. And tell you the truth, probably for the best, you came out with your 2 ordinances tonight, Mr. Manager. And that was a result of this Councilor Russell. So I do appreciate the work that you did and the response that you made, addressing both the fees at the registration and also for inspection. So appreciate that. Now this is just a letter. This is back in 2022. This is from the fire chief. One of the most fundamental roles in municipal government is to provide the safety and well-being of its residents. The city of Worcester has thousands of apartments.
What the hell was that?
Thousands to be exact. Apartments, many of which are many of which are concentrated in our historical three-decade neighborhoods. The housing stock serves as a vital resource for affordable housing with the access to employment services. Many apartment units are well-maintained and provide for safe housing. Most of the people probably who came in had issues with this probably are good landlords, you know. Unfortunately, we know too many examples that some of these units are in disrepair and lack the basic safety requirements, which presents an unreasonable hazard to the residents and to the firefighters. Commissioner Spencer's proposal for rental registry is sound and measured solution that will allow city inspectors to inspect rental units on a regular basis and ensure that our residents are living in residential units that meet the very basic health, sanitary, fire safety requirements. Additionally, the registry will ensure that the city has quick access to responsible party in case of an emergency.
There you go.
Addressing complaints.
Hardcore agree with that.
Basically gives us safety and basically gives us access and contact information. You gotta remember too, the city of Worcester, we talked about this several years ago, has one of the oldest housing stocks in the country. It's probably ranked in the top 20 anyways. And we have probably $1 billion in deferred maintenance in a lot of these apartments here in the city of Worcester. So I do support this registry that the city manager has presented, the previous city manager has presented. I appreciate.
I love it when Joe's on the right side of something. It would be so easy for him to just be like that all the time. And he's just
we have an old housing stock, right? And I know the police, the fire, and our special services do a good job. But this is going to be a little bit different.
Have we figured out what he was doing all that fundraising for yet?
Nope. The residents here in This is going to be a major.
I just checked, and it was just that. It was just February. He didn't raise any money in March. So
weird.
And he hasn't. I haven't heard any rumors or anything. So it's anyone's guess.
Is how to operate within the community.
That's why he got mad at that guy. He's running against Jim McGovern.
Yeah.
This would be a good opportunity to really explain some of the programs that we have in the city of Worcester to help landlords who might need some money. We have money. We have millions of dollars that's sitting there that nobody ever accesses to help landlords upgrade their facilities. So people should know that. So
there's millions of dollars for landlords. Is that real?
It's going to be a high-level inspection. You know, so I just want to understand. Maybe it's the public understand. This is going to be basic inspections on these homes.
Manager Batista.
Okay, that's the plan.
Chair to the mayor.
Going to be digging into that tonight and tomorrow. I'm trying to get it posted for Thursday.
Department, not the fire department. Okay. So that's important to know. And I know there's been some questions and concerns about that. It's inspectional services team, and it's not the building and code department. It's the division. It's the housing division, and so they're going to be inspectioning for the minimum sanitary code standards. And when we're talking about minimum sanitary code inspections, we're talking about simple things like yard overgrowth. Okay. We're talking about trash on property, whether you have a toilet cover in the toilet, things that are at the minimum that tenants should have the ability and to have a quality of life in those units, and then also that the landlord should be providing to the tenants as well. Now, there's a list of
cover to a toilet is a requirement.
Commissioner Spencer did a great job in putting together
I'm learning all types of shit tonight. I should really start paying attention to these.
But we're looking at the bare minimum within this sanitary code. And so that's the work that the inspector.
Happy to have you, Travis.
This is fun, Bill. Cheers. I am going to need more coffee.
To the Special Services Office.
Here, I'll be right back.
So they have not only the right equipment, the tools, but also the necessary trainings that they need to be able to go and inspect these properties.
Okay, thank you. And so maybe, I don't know if Councilor Russell, some other councilor already filed this, but people were talking about the constitutionality of this proposal and about the rental registry. Could we get a legal opinion anyways to talk about this and just make sure we're on firm grounds here? I think we're on firm grounds, just to make sure. Mr. Manager? And also the lady who spoke tonight talked about her agreements with her tenants and how does that apply to the Fourth Amendment?
To the chair, to the mayor, there has been some question about the constitutionality of this effort, and there've been some comments about the Fourth Amendment as well. That comes into I guess what we're not going to do We're not going to just randomly show up and barge into somebody's unit and inspect the unit. The program, and according to the ordinance, requires the landlord to schedule an appointment for the inspectors to go out.
Yep, same as you do for a fire alarm
Property owner
inspection.
schedules
It's-
those appointments. They must, within their own property.
This is
get
1000%
authority
scripted.
from their tenants to go into.
Every
those
time Joe
properties
Petty
or
does one of
make
these
sure that
things
a
and
tenant is
speaks,
there, a tenant
whether
can't
it be Batista or the police chief, it's
and that's
definitely
not anything
scripted.
out of the ordinary when we're inspecting. and
We
coming
love it.
into a unit, etc. And so there is not, we're not going to be a law enforcement agency where we're knocking down doors and trying to get warrants and trying to get into people's units. That's not how this works.
The
There'll be a
law
scheduled
enforcement
appointment,
agency shouldn't be
and we
knocking
then
down
try
doors
to,
either, Eric.
go and inspect the property, and with the property owner or the tenant on site to give us the ability to get through the building and inspect the area.
Thank you. Well, I think in the form of motion, if we can get a report on that, if possible. And also tonight, we have two ordinances that are on the agenda tonight. So my motion is to pass those. And
Joe, you don't need a motion to pass the
this
ordinances.
is the motion to advertise. So this will come back at our next meeting, which is 3 weeks from now. In the meantime, I think Councilor Carlson maybe will have a meeting and economic development. And because we did promise people we'd have a hearing on this.
I think the vote on this is going to be like 7-3 or
So,
7-4. 7-4 to pass these ordinances.
So Council Carlson hopefully have a meeting next 2.5 weeks. This will all come back to the city council. And if Council Russell, if he'd like to, send his committee too. Only because we promised people that we'd let them speak at the committee meeting. Okay, I'm very clear where I stand on this. I'm supportive of the rental registry. I think it's the right thing to do. And I think that we need to move on this. And that's why I was hoping we'd pass this now. It's only a motion to advertise. We'll come back through our next city council meeting, and hopefully the public will be heard before that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Before we move on, it's a question to the clerk. Mr. Clerk, we have a motion on the floor from Mayor Petty for a legal.
Yeah, just the regard the legality
Legal
of
opinion.
the whole rental registry, the Fourth Amendment, and whether these agreements override that, don't override it, just so people know in the public. I think this doesn't pass as mustard, but just so the public will know.
Thank you. I just want to make sure. I know that there was a petition a couple of meetings ago from a member of the community. Does that contradict what the mayor is doing?
To the council. So basically, I think the petition was to stop because of legality. I think Mayor Petty is asking for a report back from the city administration.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And we have, in speaking order, we have Councilor Russell, followed by Councilor Bergman, then Councilor Hajai, and Councilor Toomey. Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Chairman, thank you for recognizing me, Vice Chairman. First of all, the item 9F that I put on the agenda was put there as a result of a conversation that I had with the manager last week, thinking that the number that we were collecting from this was only about 50,000. And since then I've gotten a calculator and I can't understand how it would be 50,000. It must be a whole lot more than 50,000. Through you, Mr. Chairman, to the administration. Is it really 50,000? I know you said you had it in the budget for 50,000, but isn't this a lot more money when you calculate it out?
Mr. Manager?
Through the chair to the council, if we have between now and the end of this fiscal year, for the next fiscal year, if we have a compliance from everyone, that number can be significantly higher. We put a number of $50,000 to $60,000, a conservative number of what we potentially could bring in as revenue to offset some of the costs of the program.
So
it's a conservative number that we're budgeting for.
All right, so thinking that the calculator is a lot more sharp than my passive conversation with you, I would make a motion to file that item because I think it sounds to me like it's a whole lot more money than just the small amount that I thought it was on 9F. As far as the item that the administration brought forward, I welcome it. I think the administration is listening. Is there everything there that I, as district counselor, and as what I've heard?
Ah, okay. So this might be a unanimous vote.
People in the neighborhood. No, there's not everything there, but I think it's makes some very worthwhile changes. I would encourage my colleagues to send it to committee. I don't know, with all due respect, Mr. Chairman, to you and to your motion that you made, I don't know how we can advertise it if we're not going to have the discussion first in committee. I would think that the discussion needs to be had. Maybe we could expedite that if Councilor Carlson and her colleagues are able to do that. But I think that discussion in the committee needs to happen, and then get it back here, as quickly as possible.
Yeah, I'll have
Right
been
direction. I think the
absent from this discussion mostly.
in the communication
Be very cool to see her
also,
ripping
lent
everybody.
An awful lot to some of the confusion that was there. Mr. Chairman, many times over the last few weeks, I've mentioned that I'm in the real estate business, and I've many folks that have been critical by actions have also mentioned that I'm in the real estate business. Well, I'm also the district counselor from District 3. And as Paul Clancy always said, District 3 is the most
We got some good news
residential
coming in on the group chat
district
line.
in the city of Worcester. And if you look at District 3, from Grafton Hill to College Hill to Quincy Village to Vernon Hill, this is I've heard from residents, I've heard from property owners, I've heard from folks all over that district. And that's one of the reasons why I've been so vocal on this item going forward. I'm looking forward to the committee meeting that Councilor Carlson and her colleagues will hold on it. And I think it's a great step in the right direction to making this system understandable and palatable. And I think that your item and your motion, Mr. Chairman, about getting the clear points, because I know I received.
That's such a funny line. He's
from what
so
I've
vocal
done
about
on
it because he
the
cares about the residents and not because he's a realtor
place with the
and
name, but
is
talking
only
about
responding to realtors and
constitutionality
landlords.
and quoting all different communities.
What a
that have
joker.
problems. I don't know
This
if my
fucking
colleagues
guy.
received that or not, but I think that's the kind of thing that needs to be.
Speaking
looked
of
at,
jokers,
just so that once
shout
we
out.
start
I pick up
doing
trash
these
very well.
inspections, we don't have a stopgap at that point. So I think it's a great.
That's awesome.
A great first step. Hopefully it's the one big step, and it's enough to make the system workable. But I appreciate the efforts of the administration and my colleagues.
I can't remember them saying where they thought it should go.
Okay. We have, thank you, Councilor Russell. Councilor Bergman?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to be clear that when this first passed through the city council chamber, it was a 10-0 vote. So although we didn't have every member present, it was unanimous of the 10 that voted on it. I would say that there are many aspects of it that I support. I think it's important to be able to have units registered. I think it's important to know how to reach people. I think it's important to know the layout of the properties. And I had some issues that seem to have been most addressed by some of these changes. I think there are some other issues I still have concerns about that I look forward to addressing in committee as well. But I just want to add to what's already been said by you, Mr. Chairman, and by Councilor Russell. Every time I've thought about the constitutional issue regarding this ordinance, I hit a roadblock where I'm deeply troubled. And every time I've researched online other communities where the rental registry similar to ours have been challenged, it's not even a close call where some communities, the program's been deemed constitutional and some it's been deemed unconstitutional.
Shout out Jack and George's sentient mustache. George's mustache I've subscribed for 6 months.
Unconstitutional, not because the landlord can
Thank
contact
you,
the
mustache.
tenant, but because the tenant has an absolute right to say.
Shout out the
"I don't
weed
have
out
to
in
let you in."
Chessbaiter 1 for
My
joining
lease
us.
says you can only come in if there's an emergency. What's the emergency?
Thanks for
My
following.
lease says you can only come in at the end of the rental period to show the property to somebody else. It's not the end of the rental period. What explanation or justification, and I don't expect an answer tonight, but I just want to impress upon this body that this isn't just, some abstract question. And I've looked up another number of decisions in other states. Every single time a rental registry similar to ours has been challenged. The notion that you can go into somebody's property without probable cause to believe that there's something wrong in that apartment has been ruled unconstitutional. So I'll vote on temporary items.
I guarantee that Mo is wrong.
Before I take a final vote on the ordinance, and again, in many parts of it, I'm supportive of, I need to see that legal opinion as to why we're allowed to go into people's apartments without any probable cause to believe that something is amiss in that apartment. If I see that and I'm comfortable with it, I'll certainly support it all the way to the end. But I'm troubled by the large number of cases in which there's been an unanimous decisions that there are constitutional issues with this. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. I did ask the manager about the idea of passing the ordinance tonight, and there is no timetable to pass the ordinance because it's right through July 1st, I think, before we have to do anything. And also, I think if we do pass the ordinance, that means everything else is passed too, and there is no hearing. So just to let you know that, that's all.
Again, Mr. Chairman.
If we do pass the ordinance tonight, it puts everything else a bay. I mean, there's no other discussion on the item. So, yeah.
So we go to committee?
Yeah, if we want to do that. Councilor Hadjiai?
I've been super quiet on this because, well, I haven't been quiet. I have been very public about my support of rental registries. I am puzzled by the detour that this ordinance took after 2 years of having this information. I'm happy about the changes that the manager and Commissioner Spencer put together. I'm not entirely sure why we're sending this to committee, given that we've discussed this, we've had this out in public, the changes were made as outlined by council.
Baby-backed business.
It's whatever at this point. If folks want to send it to committee for more time, it's fine. I wish we had taken a vote on it. It sounds like there's unanimous consent on council to move this forward. I just want to make a couple of points. No one is asking this body to break the Constitution or go against this. There are multiple rental registries across the United States. And frankly, most of them from Kansas to California to Seattle to Texas have quite stringent requirements, but all of them have a common thread, which is a thread that also is present in our ordinance, which is that this is for public health and safety reasons. When I remember getting briefed by this from Commissioner Spencer in my third month being in office and having a conversation with Chief Dyer, both Commissioner Spencer and Chief Dyer mentioned that this touches upon two things: public health and public safety. Two things that this council has stood behind, over and over again. We heard clarification today. This is not going to be an unwanted inspection. There are some rules and parameters. There's a regulatory framework that guides this ordinance. This isn't being pulled out of a hat. This isn't not going through the solicitor's office. So I'm just expressing my disappointment that we can't vote on this today, because I do believe that as has been reported and as has been stated many times on this council, we had 4 people on Gage Street and 100 and plus people on Mill Street that were rendered homeless, and folks that died, as Councilor Carlson has mentioned many times. I hate to delay this further.
Yeah.
We're not asking landlords
They
to
donated to Councilor Carlson.
report on the rent increases that are happening in the city, sometimes at 500, 600. We're not asking folks to report the illegal fees that in some cases are being asked of renters. We're not mentioning that renters sometimes get asked questions that are frankly unconstitutional, such as whether they're homeless, whether they have children, whether they are making 3 times the income. No one is asking landlords or property owners to stop those practices. They're happening though in the city. So I just want to express my strong support of the ordinance in the way that it's written. I will continue to support Commissioner Spencer and his staff to roll it out. I would like to see some annual reports to council, so I'd like to make that as in form of a motion for Commissioner Spencer to provide City Council a yearly report on the progress of the registry and any obstacles and challenges that Humani staff have encountered. And my second motion would be to get a report from the city manager on the number of limited LLCs, limited help me out with
Liability
the acronym.
corporations.
Limited liability corporations that own properties in Worcester. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
That's awesome.
So, let's see,
She's
Councilor-
awesome.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think
That's
what might
awesome.
be
She's less than
helpful
awesome.
too is possibly maybe doing a video of what the inspection would be like for folks. It certainly could create some issues.
What a joker.
Be acceptable. This would
Maybe do a video.
people see what it's going to be like.
What a fucking joker.
Helpful and ease people's some of their concerns. Number one. Number two, I come back to this, and my colleagues have all stated it's public health and a public safety issue, period. There is nothing more important than ensuring that the quality of people's lives and that people's lives are safe and that they're saved. I can't tell you the number of phone calls I get from people who have issues with their apartment or have asked for repairs, et cetera. And when my response to them is, well, call and put in a claim or a report, oh no, I'm terrified. I'm terrified I'm going to lose my apartment. This isn't about the good people who are good landlords who keep their properties up. This is really about making sure that we're protecting people who are not being served by their landlords too. So I think it's really important that we understand that it's
He
not
definitely
so
does not get calls on this
people
issue.
we're trying to protect people. And I think it's incredibly
She gets calls from her
important
donors being like, this
that,
issue is really a
folks
pain in my
realize
ass. Can you
that.
make it go away?
I have one person who's called me 3 times, the same issues, mold and mildew in the apartment, wants to find someplace else but can't afford to go. And I have to keep saying, you've got to report this. There's nothing else I can do for you unless you report it. No, I'm afraid I'll lose my apartment. So
Yeah,
we all
the city could do
on a day-to-day
quite a bit for like tenant services
we've
and
lost lives,
like just
because
explaining that they aren't doing right
apartments
now.
were not maintained properly, and it's just not okay. I don't want to see another life lost, and I think that there are some good questions.
Yeah, could you send me
We'll discuss it in committee.
the letter that went out in some way, like just pictures of it or something?
Lead that committee and do a great job, and I look forward to having this come to a conclusion. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Ojeda.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, I agree. Just listening to Councilor Toomey, I received numerous phone calls as well.
Email
from
is fine. Jenny.
Residents, probably just one resident consistently, and they're very concerned and afraid to ruffle feathers. They're afraid to lose where they live. They've been there for several years, and in District 4, we've had 4 fires since January, and this is extremely important. Not just for District 4, but for the city to understand that, yes, we have very old buildings, 3-deckers, and there's a lot of issues with them. And I think it's important for the residents to understand that we hear them. I applaud the city manager in understanding that, this is a work in progress. And, he's heard what people have said, heard what we've said, and we've been able to go back and forth. And I believe this is what this is about, right? For us to not just as city councilors, but councils at large, to understand what's the bigger issue here. And safety is key to all of us, and we want to make sure everyone's safe. So I do support it. Like I said, I receive phone calls over and over again, and people are afraid. They're not sure which steps to take. So for me, it's understanding, Mr. Chairman, you mentioned that, there's money out there for landlords to access to be able to fix their apartments and things like that. I just would like to know if that information is being shared with them while they register, to get information sent back to them once they register, and understanding that there is money out there per apartment. I was in a meeting before, I could be wrong, but I think there was like $15,000 per.
Donna's in the
per
start of that
apartment.
Want to Get
So
Away
going
commercial.
through that, so it's $15,000 per floor. Hopefully some of that information is being sent back to them so they can understand the bigger picture here.
Donna
Safety is
was
more
put in
important
arrest
than
mode.
anything.
You need to press the
Address
button on the
issues
back of
that
her
are going on.
the
And if,
activator
like the city
again.
manager said, it could be some minor stuff. There's money there to
Deactivated
help some of
Colorio.
these residents, and at the end of the day, to help the people that are renting from them. I think it's important. I think it's an opportunity to understand that they do have an obligation to their renters. So I support it, and again, it's a work in progress. So we will definitely, obviously, going to go back and forth.
Definitely, obviously.
Thank you. Okay.
Is everyone done?
Thank you,
So
Mr.
close.
Chairman. Quick question to the chair. This has been before us a few times. Just a question to the administration. I know we have our legal folks here this evening. I've done my cursory research. I don't, by any stretch of the imagination, think I'm an attorney. Council Bergman's done some research, and given the fact this has been before us for some time, we have an ordinance, which is a legal document that it went out. My question to the administration, if our solicitor here can speak to the legality concerns that have been brought forward today. I know there's a report coming. I'd like to hear from our legal solicitor here.
No.
To the concerns that have been brought forward this evening through the chair.
Madam Solicitor.
I'm Mike Trainer. Oh, it's not Mike
Mayor,
Trainer.
to the councilor. This did go through the law department, and the city solicitor has reviewed it. I cannot speak to the details and the specifics, but he has reviewed it. He's also currently working on a report back to the manager.
Okay, so you haven't been provided any information to share with us this evening
I do
regarding
not
this
have
matter?
any.
I have a follow-up question, Mr. Chairman, to the administration. As it relates to when the city enters the living domicile of the renter, if there's some sort of concern regarding illegality or perhaps concern that there's some sort of need for law enforcement or a concern about the welfare of a child, et cetera, what is the expectation of the city to that inspector, to the chair?
Commissioner.
Through the chair to the counselor. So those are the things we will be reviewing with the law department. Again, there are some cases where we have social workers in, and that would not be under the inspection. Those are typically mandated reporters, but our inspectors are not mandated reporters. Obviously, if there was a very dangerous situation, we would be dealing with it. They would be communicating that to us. We would be working with whatever authorities we would have to. But again, we would be looking at, again, it's public safety. So we wouldn't, if there was something that was completely dangerous and needed to be reported, that would be looked at. So
Through the chair, so you said that you will be reviewing this with the solicitor. So to date, that has not been reviewed, or what is the status of that? Through the chair.
through the chair to the counselor, the review that we've been doing with the solicitor is really about where the authority comes from for these inspections. So the authority comes directly from the state in the sanitary code to the municipalities and its agents within this to do those inspections. Our focus has been the inspections under the sanitary code. We're not, part of this is not to go around looking through anything. It's really to go in a room, look to see if there, does it have a window that it's supposed to have? Is the ceiling the correct height? Does it have an outlet? Are the egresses obstructed in any way? Are there any other fire hazards? Are power strips?
Yeah, but are you guys going to
overloaded?
touch my pee
That
bubbles?
is about all the time these inspectors
I
are
have
going to have.
those sorted.
So really their focus is going to be 100% on the sanitary code and the
They're gonna
help
get your ass on
as-
that.
as it
Dang
relates
it.
Through the chair to
I'm
the
against
administration,
this.
just for clarification, are you saying that these inspectors will turn a blind eye in the situations that I've referenced or not, through the chair?
Through the chair to the counselor. Again, what I'm saying is that we are going to be reviewing those kind of scenarios. We haven't played out every type of scenario within this with the solicitor to make sure that we are on solid ground, whether it's reporting or whether it's not reporting. And those are things that we need to be sure. And again, our focus has been under the sanitary code. So we will review multiple scenarios, and no matter how many scenarios we come across, there will be scenarios we didn't anticipate. And at that point, we will reach out to the law department for advice on how to handle those types of situations.
Through the chair to the administration, in terms of being fully staffed in the housing and building divisions, how close are we to that, through the chair?
Through the chair to the counselor. So prior to, actually before this was even came to the council floor, we made budget requests for adding 5 additional sanitary inspectors and then taking 5 of the existing sanitary inspectors, moving them to the rental registry program. And the rationale for that was that we anticipate that we will be dealing with less of the complaint-driven inspections that we're doing. So that's how we're able to do that. We looked at the entire load of what we could do on an annual basis, approximately how long it would take to do each.
Camber, we're going to host
and what we
a
needed. So
stream
we
out of your apartment
have
next week.
staffed up
You
for
agreed
that.
to
We
it.
have the
So can you
equipment,
get
we
that
have the
cleaned?
computers, we have the workstations, we have everything we need. That all of the inspectors have the tools and they've had the training and they're ready to hit the ground running.
Thank you. I'm glad you brought up the complaint aspect of this. Through the chair to the administration, how have we been doing with responding to complaints and following up with enforcement? Is there any sort of quantification of that or data, through the chair?
Through the chair to the counselor. So annually, we respond to about 10,000 work orders through the CSRS system. That's where all of the complaints come through. And in that, we do at least 21,000 inspections related to those particular orders. And then we issue about 6,000 orders for violations or for correction orders. And then sometimes there are multiple violations on that, which amounts to about 26,000 violations based on complaint-driven inspections. And then we attend about 655 court cases every year when those issues can't be resolved by the landlord. So we're very reactive in this, but we're, I think, on top of it as much as we can be. I don't think we're dropping the ball on any of those inspections.
Okay, and is there a way we can get those numbers through the chair? I'd like to see enforcement percentages, when we have a complaint, how many of those have been followed up on. I'd like to see, the enforcement when there's a
Good luck, system.
corrective
Hope it goes well.
order that's gone out. I'd like to see the data on this. And I ask this in the spirit, Mr. Chair, not being a form of a motion. I've asked some basic questions that I just haven't gotten the answer for. I went back and I looked at some of the tapes and, Economic Development Committee where I was asking the same questions I'm asking now. Maybe 2 calendar years later, maybe 3. And I simply can't get information. The 110, the 110 inspections, I'd like to see us on top of those. I understand that this will be dealt with jointly. And I really want to ask to understand, the interplay between the various departments in this. So through the chair to the administration, if you could share inspectional services, kind of what the umbrella looks like, buildings division and permitting and housing, like how is this going to work out, and have parameters been providing in writing to these folks in terms of policy or procedures relative to this rental registry, and when did that happen? Through the chair.
Commissioner?
Yep, through the chair to the counselor. So all of these divisions within inspectional services work closely together. the rental registry inspections are going to be done primarily by the sanitary inspectors. Those are our housing enforcement folks. There will be cases that do have to get referred to the building department, and the building department will follow up on those. In general, just for your knowledge, in terms of the way the inspections are going to be done, they're very thorough inspections that will go room by room, space by space, starting from the outside of the building, looking at the egress routes, front egress, back egress, looking at the lock systems on the door. It's very important that an egress door not have to have a key for somebody to open it or have some sort of complicated lock system. All of those are contained within the sanitary code. At the end of that inspection, rather than a list of violations and orders, what that landlord will get is a report that outlines where the deficiencies are, and then we will provide them time for correction, and then we will be doing a re-inspection. So that's the way that generally works. So our building inspectors will be there when needed, when there is a referral. So, something like a structural issue where a porch is falling off, or they notice a big cracked beam in the basement, something like that, that is important and really needs the qualifications of a building inspector.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And just for
You're in your second 5.
Thank you. For a point of order, currently we're going to be voting to send this to committee. Is that the vote that's before us? I just want to make sure before I sit down what it is. And that's it? It's the only motion on the floor?
Correct.
Okay.
Joe, you motioned to approve it, brother.
I certainly.
You have another motion on the floor.
I've asked.
Whatever.
Simple delineation of high-risk property. That would be.
What fucking ever with these guys? Who cares?
Identified and responded to first, and the answer was essentially we do not. I've asked about. This has been before us for years now at this point, and we don't have any statement. We couldn't receive any sort of verbal statement from our solicitor department this evening. In addition to that, I've asked specifically around staffing numbers. I've specifically asked for where we are with backlog of the 110s, and why is that important? Because you got to do A to be able to do B. And I understand that there will be some intersection there with the rental registry program. But quite frankly, I don't know that we're going to execute this in a way that folks who support this want us to. I really think that we should be going back to the drawing board, Mr. Chairman. As far as moving forwards in this, I have those questions. I certainly do. I support, renters. I support public safety and our fire department. But I want to know how we can be better. Certainly wrapping this up with a bow and saying, hey, rental registry, here we go. But are we going to execute? Are we going to follow through? Are we going to be able to hold ourselves to account, Mr. Chairman? And I don't know. I would certainly like an audit of this department as relates to complaints responded to, enforcement, et cetera. And I'll make that in the form of a motion, Mr. Chairman. But I'm quite frustrated I can't get basic questions answered, Mr. Chairman. And as such, I will not support this moving forward until these questions can be answered. Thank you.
Okay, so we have 13F, motions to send that to committee.
Yeah, I don't know what's up with Christian lately.
A bunch of motions from the council.
He's kind of been stifling progress.
And we also have Councilor Russell.
Yeah, he's been annoying as fuck, frankly.
That's a motion also. So we're going to take those collectively.
What are you going to do?
Mr. Chairman, just
say under my breath that you're wrong about Mill Street when I saw him out at Oriag Castle Street Park.
Well, one that we touched on before. I just want to make sure that I don't.
Yeah, I don't know or particularly care what he's doing. To be quite honest with you, it's like
tenant access and tenant rights.
You're not going to win. You're not going to beat Joe Petty by trying to be more like him. I don't understand the political strategy there.
To do with access and people's rights and all that stuff. So with that,
and plus, Joe Petty's not running next year. It's going to be Maureen Benendo, and you're going to lose. No matter what you do. It's not about, no one fucking cares.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. 2 meetings ago, I asked for a report on incentivizing this. And the reason I had asked for that is that I know that in other places, the incentivizing went further than this sort of rental registry. The city stated on the record that there are, and they are aware of such programs, Mr. Chairman. I just want to make sure that we get that report back in short order so it can inform the process. And again, on 13F, so the motion would not be to advertise it. The motion is going to be to send to MLO, correct?
No, for the fourth time, this will go to economic development.
So it's not a motion to advertise as written. Okay, thank you.
For the fourth time, this will go to economic development.
Sassy.
Councilor Bergman?
Yes.
Councilor Calorio?
Yes.
Councilor Gia?
Yes.
Councilor King?
Yes.
Councilor Carlson?
Yes.
Councilor Nguyen?
Yes.
Councilor Ojeda?
Yes.
Councilor Basillo?
Yes.
Councilor Russell?
Yes.
Councilor Toomey?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, we'll go back to orders. First order. Request.
Oh man, all right, I'll be back in a minute.
Process
Yeah, good luck.
associated with the hand recount of the Republican ballots cast at the presidential primary election held on March 5th, 2024 for the office of Republican State Committee Woman, 1st Worcester District. Council King.
As it reads.
Yeah,
Roll call.
Christian. Love to hear it.
Councilor Bergman?
Yes.
Councilor Calorio?
Yes.
Councilor Gia?
Yes.
Councilor King?
Yes.
Councilor Carlson? Councilor Nguyen?
Yes.
Councilor Ojeda?
Yes.
Councilor Basillo?
Yes.
Councilor Russell?
That's only going to make him
Councilor Toomey?
more upset
Mayor Petty?
just because it's so salty.
9B.
It'll be like
request,
double salty.
City manager requests the Chief of Human Resources provide technical assistance and guidance to City Council for the purpose of establishing advisory 2 guidelines relative to the annual performance evaluation of the City Manager. Council King.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This goes along with, I thought I'd filed this some time ago. I filed and requested a evaluation tool and rubric for the other positions that the council is required to hire and evaluate and then to give contracts to, and that we negotiate directly. I have done that for the auditor. I've done that for the city clerk. And my first question to the chair, to the administration is, what is the update? I filed those orders quite some time ago, asking for to provide the council with guidance on a rubric for the office of the clerk and the auditor. So through the chair to the administration, what is the status of those evaluations?
Mr. Manager.
Through the chair to the council, the HR department has worked with them, has worked through putting these evaluation tools together. We'd be happy to come back to the council for. We just have to submit it to this body.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I can't emphasize enough the importance of that. We're tasked to hire 3 positions: the manager, the auditor, and the city clerk, and to not kind of continuously work towards, having these things as referential tools, I think is not in the best interests of all parties involved. Mr. Chairman, I want to thank, the mayor for working with me on this, on 9B. Would love to see this go to municipal operations so they can figure out if this is something, once we get the tool back, if it's something that body feels should move forward or not.
It's hard to say. Worcester sucks.
A tool for the clerk and the auditor that will be determined by the will of that committee. But we as a council should be asking the questions, Mr. Chairman. And again, this request, there was a comment about asking HR to provide technical assistance to the council. And given the fact that the manager, that's a employee of the manager, this is simply technical assistance. The intention here is the office of the city council and the office of the mayor would work jointly towards establishing a rubric as an
I was on the
advisory
Public
tool.
Arts Working
Certainly
Group,
if counselors
better
choose
known as
to,
POG, the
adhere
funniest.
to it or not,
I
similarly to what we do to this
don't think it's a
date,
city board
would
or
be
a
up to
group,
them, but certainly
but no boards.
informing the process is
How about
important.
anybody in the
And
chat?
by no means do we expect the HR to provide a heavy lift. I'm open to amending this to stating that that HR officer will provide technical assistance to the
Perfect
office
ass working group.
of the council, and if the mayor's
I've
so
brought that
inclined,
up
the
to a
office of the mayor.
former
But this is certainly, I think,
staff
something
member of
that's going to
City
be
Hall.
helpful.
A lot of people
To the
here
city
know.
manager,
And I
something
asked him
helpful
if
to
he
us,
told anybody,
and,
and he
you know, it
did
also
not
gives
confirm nor
opportunity
deny
to
that he kind
highlight
of
what
let
he's
it
doing.
happen
I know
because
that
he
we
knew
have
exactly what it were,
before us today,
which is just
the contract of the clerk, but yet we've not had that sort of process play out once again, despite having asked for this some time ago. And I'm going to be really looking into why that has been delayed. That was asked again some time ago to inform the process that we're before now, that there's already been public hearings on, you know, and what a better way to take a look at job descriptions, to take a look in regards to the city manager, to look at what's been done in other municipalities, Cambridge and other places that were referenced. That's all part of this order. And, you know, I think we'll get there, and then the council will decide what happens after that, if anything. So I appreciate the support on this. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Toomey.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I actually, several years ago, had provided the council with a document from, I believe it was the National Organization of Cities, National League of Cities, I'm sorry. They have quite a few opportunities and great resources, and I think that they should definitely be looked at as a good resource, because I think I believe it was way back when we were with City Manager O'Brien talking about doing the same thing. So I would ask, it can be in the form of a separate motion, that we also take a look at the documents and tools that are out there with the National League of Cities. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Pacillo, followed by Councilor Bergman.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I do want to thank Councilor King for bringing this forward as a new council member. It's very helpful to have guidance, and this is something I've spoken to the city manager about and some of my colleagues, just to have these clear goals where we can prioritize what we're working on and what the city manager and his administration is working on. And, you know, it's going to be completely transparent, which is something you all know I love. And we can go to residents and say, this is why we grade, you know, this way or that way. So I think this is a really great motion, and I'm excited to follow it. And I would also love to sign on. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Bergman.
Mr. Chairman, I certainly would welcome this in the MO agenda or in the committee, but I recall a number of years ago, one of our colleagues, who's no longer on the council with us, submitted a rather lengthy and historically lengthy comments on the city manager's performance. And I remember the city solicitor at the time saying that the charter just says you have to submit your opinion on how the city manager is doing. So my question, I guess, through the chair as a motion, and hopefully it'll be viewed as a friendly amendment or
welcome back, buddy.
Motion, is I'm just looking for the legal department to render a legal opinion as to whether or not, no matter what we establish, if we establish any sort of rubric, whether we have to follow, or does the charter just allow us to submit any opinion that we want? That my recollection is the evaluation in the charter just says evaluation. So I just want, before we go down the exercise of trying to think about whether we want to come up with a rubric or some other method, if it's not binding on any councilors, what's the point?
Donna does look frozen.
Councilor King.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate the openness to bring this to committee. I just want to restate, the point is to assist in an informed process. This language in this order was chosen carefully, indicates advisory. But, to have something before you based on what has worked in other places is extremely helpful, based on the charter, based on the expectations of.
Weird argument from Mo Bergman there. Why should we be reviewing the city manager?
Just heard a freshman counselor stated how helpful this would be. And again, it's not to prescribe to any counselor. It's not to prescribe whatsoever, but it is to inform the process and to help us be a better city. Again, we have a clerk's contract where we haven't gone through this process, and particularly for the freshman counselors, but also the folks who've been around for a bit like myself, to do a true and proper evaluation, and then subsequent to that, a recognition and a validation of the work that's done. That's the sort of rubric that would be helpful, and also to inform any sorts of raises and contractual things that we have to vote on. It's better to vote on something with more information than less, Mr. Chairman. So that's be the point of it. What's not the point of it is being prescriptive. And I think the exercise will be fruitful. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. So we'll send that with the motions to the manager. All those in favor, opposed to, or I'm sorry, send the item to MO, municipal operations. Then we have motions that were asked for the city manager. We'll send that there.
Well, Mr. Chairman, also we can send it to the office of the council as well.
You only sent it to one. Like, it's either going, what do you mean, office of the council? Like,
Well,
this is going to municipal operations.
I don't, Mr. Chairman, I don't know, but this is the deal. So this
I don't know, but
requires,
this is the
right,
deal.
The council, it requires the expertise of HR to bring a product to committee. To simply go to committee without a product doesn't make much sense. And the product isn't going to be created by HR, Mr. Chairman, as mentioned. And for us to do otherwise just doesn't hit the mark. The only expectation of the HR department would be to provide assistance to the council, and if the mayor's office wants, to the mayor's office, in establishing and creating a rubric based on the aforementioned, Mr. Chairman. To simply send it to the manager, I'm not sure what he'd do with it.
No, I'm going to send it to the MO committee. That's where it should go. It's the municipal
Yeah, I
operations.
want it to go there.
Yeah, there is no really office of the city council. There is, but there isn't. It's like three parties that report to us.
I
There's
don't
the
agree with
clerk,
that, but
the
okay, if you want to
manager,
send it to
the
MLO, as long as we get the process started, Mr.
Yep.
Chairman.
Okay.
Fight,
So-
I
fight,
don't agree.
fight,
It's not an
fight,
office of the
fight.
council. That's not,
No, as
shouldn't be
far
stated
as-
publicly.
Okay. There's not, as a party that reports back to this council, I'm referring to. Okay, the motion is sent to the municipal operations along with the other motions to the manager. Roll call.
Councilor Bergman?
Yes.
Councilor Calorio?
Yes.
Councilor Haji?
Yes.
Councilor King?
Yes.
Councilor Maura Carlson?
Yes.
Councilor Nguyen?
Yes.
Councilor Ojeda?
Yes.
Councilor Basillo?
Yes.
Councilor Russell?
Yes.
Councilor Toomey?
Yes.
And Mayor Petty?
Yes. Next is an effort to make our city cleaner and greener. Request city manager review the feasibility of establishing a solar trash collection receptacle program in downtown business corridor, public parks, and other identified locations in the city. Further
As it reads, baby, as it reads. Let's go.
Our program to pick up materials from said receptacles and provide city council report regarding potential revenue streams from wayfinding signage and advertisement system funding of said services. Councilor
Revenue streams from wayfinding
Thank you,
signage?
Mr. Chairman. I know that I've had conversations with the city manager about this. We had a young man that was going to petition the city council. I hope that he still petitions the city council when the time allows to do exactly this. And this is something I've talked about with the prior administration, who was not open to this. I spoke to it. This administration, which I believe is open to such measures. This is really about making our city cleaner and greener, and perhaps doing some outdoor recycling. Waste management, energy efficient waste management that compacts our trash, that uses solar panels. And in many instances across the Commonwealth and across, these United States, we've seen that with these sorts of receptacles, a reduction of the amount of trash that needs to be picked up. For example, in some
Christian,
places
I
and
hope you're not
locations,
getting lobbied by Big Belly or
these
a company like that.
trash receptacles, when they compact the trash, they hold 5 times the amount of a normal trash bin. Where folks are routinely
Thanks,
picking up
Annie.
trash in these municipalities or towns, they went from, in some instances, 14 times of.
If they had snacks, they would make
14
fun of like
number
two
of times
did.
they would go out 14 times to pick up trash. They went out 4 or 5. I know the city of Boston had reported that there had been a reduction.
When I was down at DC 2 weeks ago, there
from
was
3
just a
shifts to
pickup
1
truck
shift, some of
driving
these
around
locations
one
where they have these
section
sorts
and
of
just
units.
like a leaky
These
pile
units
of
have a
bags in the
12-volt
back of
battery
it. And this
in
dude
case
just
there's
kept
no
driving
sunlight,
around and throwing bags
that
all
can run
day.
for several weeks. Mr. Chairman.
It's like
The way these
simple
work,
problem,
it's
simple solution.
full
Just
level
hire some dudes with
sensors
some trucks.
in these
They'll make the bags disappear.
in these receptacles that send a message to the city that they're full, that they need to be changed. And again, they do this in big cities and small cities: Boston, Philadelphia, Chicago. They do them in some of the smaller towns here in the city. And there's some challenges that come with it, but it's really more about efficiencies. It's been seen as a solution for rat abatement and further beautification of our city. In instances, it's been reported in my research that they've reduced rat population by 40% in some cities, by 90% in some parks. In addition, there's a revenue component of this, Mr. Chairman. When I'm in Boston and I see these things, there's all sorts of ads on them that generate revenue. And would like that to be part of this report for further exploration. Would love to see a pilot program begin of this. And this isn't sort of a one-off.
I cannot
or
wait
sort
to
of
put
a
stickers all over
political,
those.
Yep. But I really think we have to start servicing our business corridors more effectively. In prior conversations with the prior administration, when I talked about removing trash in Canal District, if it's Burncoat Street, Grafton Street, Lower Main Street, Upper Main Street, Burncoat Street, all these different locations, Chandler.
What would each city councilor bring to a food
We're
fight?
not doing it, or we can't do it. And I know that, our commercial folks.
2 would be able to bring some banh mi's from Mint, which would be
their
very
taxes.
effective.
And I also know
almost
that
like
we have
frag grenades,
routinely,
right?
I feel like it would be smart and
probably
bring
quite
like
often
some
run right
hard
past these
candy.
places. So we'd like
They
to
had a
see,
whole bunch of
as part of this,
like
piloted
Candy
in
would just
our
bring
business
one pie,
corridors
and
in
then
our
she would throw
parks.
one pie and then be done. But 2 would have a whole box of ammunition that they can just keep knocking people.
some of these, receptacles can do is that they also
Can you do an
can
exploration of
send,
how much it would cost to have more
their
recycling
technology,
trucks?
sudden drops in
See,
changes.
Molly, that's interesting because the recycling,
what have
I
you.
believe, is completely outsourced to Casella. Oh, Katie
when
needs help
Boston first
with the
started
food.
doing this some years ago,
Good thing.
I've
the
been summoned.
ad space was taken up by a sponsor called Vector Media. They came up with close to $3 million that paid for the entire program, Mr. Chairman, because they felt that it was worth the investment. I think we should begin this as soon as possible. Would really like to see, if we have wayfinding signage on it, also as part of the signage on there, public health and public service messaging has gone on some of these receptacles. I certainly think it makes sense when we're talking about strategizing.
I don't
for
know
the
this
city.
for
We know
facts,
that
but
the
it
bid
just sounds like
district,
Christian's
as
really
mentioned
going for like
in
the
my
big belly
discussion with the
style
manager, that the bid district's
trash
doing some of this
compactors.
stuff down here. But what about the other parts of the city?
You're in your second 5.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I'm not going to hit all the streets, but Millbury Street, Water Street, Lower Upper Main Street, as I mentioned, Burncoat Street, Grafton Street, Shrewsbury Street. We really should get this going as soon as possible, and we should do.
Yeah, I can open a jar like the best of them.
Businesses,
My
and make sure
hero.
folks who are frequenting our park have the ability to do this.
Yeah, you didn't really miss anything.
In the places where it saved person power and work load, they did not see any drop in employees. Instead, they repurposed and refocused those folks on making those towns and those cities cleaner, making those parks cleaner.
Yeah,
and
I
being
mean,
more
modern
responsible
trash
to
cans
nuisances
in
and
public
things of that
places would be
nature.
nice.
So, I hope folks
There,
that we can
Christian.
get this together. I hope this is
I
an order
just
that
saved you
kind of
5
sits
minutes.
there, that we have some action on, and I hope it goes to committee. And they
Try this
figure
next
out
time.
if it really
Modern
is a good
trash
idea. Thank you,
receptacle
Mr. Chairman.
systems in public places
Thank
would be
you.
nice.
And that, I'm sorry, Councilor Toomey.
Thank you,
Oh,
Mr.
here we
Chair.
go. Councilor
I
Toomey,
certainly,
Nautical.
In general, absolutely support this. I've actually supported before. I do know that several years ago, and I think 2 commissioners ago, we actually had a trial with Big Belly from Boston. And I would like to know maybe from
Big
the
Belly.
commissioner, if he's
Yeah.
worked with them in other places and
I had a friend that worked there.
his
He
thoughts
no
are
longer.
on that.
No longer works there?
Yeah, no longer works with them.
Commissioner?
Good things.
His
bad
choice.
things?
Yeah, no, his
Okay.
choice. Not great from what I hear.
Experience with Big Belly in 2 other communities. They are another tool in the toolbox, if you will. They are
Hey, look who's here.
specific places
Welcome,
where
welcome, buddy.
financially,
What's up, Brendan?
How are you?
You made it.
Operationally, it makes sense to have a.
We're cooking with gas here. You know,
as far as I'm
we're
aware,
halfway through the orders. We already did the
know that
rental registry.
some documents
How'd that go?
Back in 2010,
You know,
It's been 4
all the
months.
cranks have settled down,
looking at
except for
some
Christian.
Big
Christian
Belly
was
program.
still trying to fight it,
Haven't finished my research to see what.
which was
it
kind of
was-
disappointing and
went to
annoying.
fruition,
but-
what the
See,
cost
Jay
was.
Fink is now explaining to us why
he was
Worcester is
looking at
made
it.
of potholes.
It's not a cheap.
No, we're
No.
on Big
cost that
Belly
were in there
trash
was
compactors.
a program
Yeah, we want trash
$1,000.
compactors. Talking about Big Belly.
So that's why I don't know if it ever went
I think this is
forward.
another one that Gary
I
Rosen
think,
brought up like 20 years
there
ago.
has been
I'm glad we
conversation
finally
Yeah.
got around to it.
The,
No, I don't think we're getting
Building
around to it.
Department,
It's
they're
a
doing
suggestion from
zero waste
Christian
plan,
King.
zero waste
so-
analysis, and certainly
What's
something
your
like
ways
this
to
could
kick it
be
down
looked
the
at,
road?
as part of a bigger picture to see if this does make sense to incorporate this or to bring in something either.
We still have to talk about
Big
the
Belly or something else
payment in lieu of taxes report and the noise ordinance, which
as
got delayed
component
last week.
services of the city.
So,
Have
you
we
know,
actually been
we
talking
might
with
be here for
anybody
a
else?
while.
What about Metro Bin? I know that's a program that's out there as well.
Commissioner?
We did talk last year with a.
Brendan,
vendor,
say hi to
I
Molly.
don't remember the name.
Hey,
Same
Molly.
concept as far as
There we go.
revenue
Oh, sorry,
generated
she's
to offset the
How
cost.
rude.
catch up on the
There we
comments
go.
over here.
Disposing.
Okay, now why is Candy sitting next to Kate?
We try to do a pilot program with a small. number
Oh,
of items
good
within
call.
the
I don't
park.
know.
Candy is sitting
Did-
in Mo's seat. This is weird to me.
Was not.
I thought Mo was
did not
always
think
at the
that was
end.
enough of an engagement for
Did
their
it-
production.
Mo and Kate are
So
usually
it's
side.
not
Mo,
go
Mo and
forward,
Kate are
but that
usually
doesn't
side by
mean we
side.
can't have continued conversations with other vendors.
Okay, I'd like to see a couple of different resources and see. what-
Interesting. I am confused now. Are you sure about that? I always thought.
Or was
Mo
that
right in
last
the end.
last council that Mo and Kate were right
more
next to each other?
resources. I actually
I
recall.
don't remember the specifics, but
some
I,
Mo's
of
always
I
been
can't
on the
remember
end.
now.
Mo
Yeah.
has
He was
definitely
right,
always
Candy.
been at the end, but
We could take it on in Worcester.
Maybe Kate. Well, Kate has historically sat in that chair, so maybe they did a little switcheroo.
So
Hmm.
I
Where's
look
Donna
forward
usually
to,
sit?
She
move
switched
forward with
sides.
and I look forward.
It
to
seems like Kate and
bringing,
Donna have swapped.
Coming up with some options. Thank you.
Thank you. And Councilor Ojeda, followed by Councilor Russell.
Thank you, Mr.
Oh
Chairman.
my God, we don't all
Yeah,
have
I think
to
this
talk
is
about
a
this.
this is a great
Jesus
idea,
Christ.
especially being able to have it inside the business corridors in some areas where it's really highly populated. District 4 seems to be one of those areas, and I think being able to take advantage of it literally ties in with the ambassador program that I've been working with.
Brendan, any news from the outside world?
Quality of life and understanding that we're trying to create more ambassadors, more people to
lots of
empower
traffic.
communities. This is a great way to
That's
get
about it.
people that are
Yeah.
so-called
Now
capitalists.
tonight was my mother's 76th birthday.
Cleaning their
Ooh.
neighborhoods,
Nice.
The cool thing that the kids can do.
So we took her out to dinner.
literally just pick the trash and throw it in there.
Where'd you go? Anywhere nice?
Went up to Marimonte.
And things
Nice. I love
What a
that
great
place.
meal.
I guess
I
my
really,
question
I dig it up
is,
there. It's I know
since we
it.
know
This
trash
is
a big issue, and
This might not be safe to say, but for a city with so many Italians, like we do not have a lot of good Italian food in Worcester, and that seems to be
No,
one of
I'll
the few
agree.
places that
The pros and cons
they do a good job.
through this.
They do a good
They
job
use
there.
San Marzano.
The reality is,
They know the power of the
Yeah.
San Marzano style tomato.
really do in the near future versus
You pay for it, but it tastes delicious.
Yeah.
And
Look at
pretty
Donna
much
right
the
now.
same-
Hello,
Councilor's
darkness,
question.
my old friend. Oh my god.
So when you're dealing with this.
Yeah, not to talk too much shit, but
The unit
I got a
itself,
lasagna from
mechanical
Dino's
devices do
a couple weeks ago
Need
that
servicing,
was
you're paying rent on
disgusting.
the item.
It was
There's a
burnt
service
shit,
contract, so,
and it tasted like the cheese in it might have been bad. It was definitely sitting for too long either way.
trash can go in,
Completely
trash
falling
red,
apart,
needs to
black
be
on the
emptied,
bottom.
things of that nature.
I think that's the problem right there, Bill, is like growing up, like that was every
malfunction
Friday
is
night, my
something
entire
that's locked
family
out
got
in
together and we went to
the
Dino's. And it
Yeah.
wasn't uncommon for
Your
like
service,
West Sider Irish folk to go to
if
Dino's on
they-
Friday
it
night.
can
It
be
was like
clean.
that was
Yeah,
what
yeah,
the whole
yeah.
room was.
things like that.
And it in my head growing up, like that's what Italian food was. And then you go to a place that actually has a little Italy and you realize what Italian food actually is and that it doesn't cost anything and it's just incredible food that you can just eat forever and enjoy.
Yeah.
Like I didn't have that growing up here.
Big Yelly.
They
Yeah,
just need
Dino's
flour
like
eggs.
Bag back in, so you're buying the bags from Big
Dino
Yelly.
sets kind of
It's
a
not
low
something
bar
that
in
they
general,
can do a
but
lot on the open
it's
market,
been
which is
pretty
really
good. I
something
like Dino's
cost
though. I
prohibitive
think that it's a.
comes into.
I like that it's a restaurant in a neighborhood.
Concept
I think
Yeah.
that's really cool.
Yep.
receptacles or something
And
else in a business corridor with, either with a.
oh, I don't know this one. I pick up food litter very well. I've never
Neither
been
do
to
I.
La Cucina.
Going
That's
forward with
Italian
the zero
food?
waste plan, that's going to be part of it. But
Where is that?
there's 1,000 reasons pros and thousands cons. You can look it up online. The brochure will be there and tell you what the positives are and what the advantages are, but it really needs to.
You know what's the best
Corridor where I've got
on
people coming around
the
every day.
best kept secret of Worcester,
Trash
I
cans.
think,
Okay.
is Auntie
you
Dot's
stick
Pizza.
that one, go to
on
the
Grand
next
Street.
I hard disagree.
I love that place.
Within the parks. and
Why
within-
don't you like that?
really the same thing.
It's
Try not to
just,
go to the
it's a
park to empty
weird style of
6
pizza that
cans.
takes you back to
That's okay, but I've
school.
got
It's
3 more
so
that I do
thick
empty.
and it just,
Yeah, I love
I wouldn't
that
call
style
it
of
pizza. It's like
People in that park
sauce
every
bread.
day empty the trash for it,
Yeah, it's
so they
Auntie
can visually
Dot's.
look and see what else might be out there.
Uh,
Doesn't have to be
I think-
pizza.
Safety
I
concerns,
think
something
Councilor
else, but
Pasillo is actually
people that are
related
going in the
to
parks to empty the
Auntie
trash
Dot.
do much more
Like, I think that's
service
her
than just
actual
like
Aunt
empty
Dot.
those trash cans.
That's her
Somebody
auntie?
told me that.
You really gotta look at it.
Somebody
That's
definitely
awesome.
What
told me
the
that.
services are, what you're gonna cut out.
That was the
what
first pizza
manpower
place I
you're
went
gonna
to in
reduce,
Worcester,
and
and I
act
was
as
like,
a
oh no, I've made a
cost-saving
terrible
measure,
mistake.
So that it now becomes
Yeah.
financially viable.
Well, that's
No, I think, yeah, I think it's
Wrong.
important to understand that,
that's the first
Yeah.
pizza place you went to in Worcester. That's crazy.
I was living up on Grafton Hill, so like I
Oh,
typed
okay.
it in and I followed
there are
some.
other areas
I don't know.
throughout the city that just doesn't have that.
Hey, Bill, sending you something in the private chat. Please, anyone feel free to share with the group. But did you see this tweet from Senator Mike Moore earlier in the evening?
And questions, why don't we have trash cans?
I
Just regular
definitely
trash cans.
didn't.
This is when all of you can say, really? Mike Moore has a Twitter account? Like, but
I'm
This
not
is
even
act-
following him.
this is really interesting, though. He's totally breaking ranks with the majority of the legislature and asking for them to be subject to audits and transparency measures. Which, like Massachusetts, is really weird because we're one of the few states where, like, the legislature and specifically the governor's office are not subject to any form of records request at all.
Right.
It's a pretty sad.
That's kind of weird for him.
Yeah.
Cherish Street, there's areas where there's no trash bins, there's nothing there, and the trash is just, floating around.
Yeah, as far as I've known from that, it's like everyone has been fighting that pretty actively.
Actually come in and help. Can they be trained?
That's cool.
With the big
It is something that historically, and the governor's office is where the best example is. Almost every governor over the last 20 years has run on the concept of opening them up to records request and transparency. And then immediately after the election stated there's no way in hell that's ever happening.
And again,
Yeah.
it is probably embarrassing. You have people coming from out of town. They go into some of our business corridors, and the streets are dirty. We can't get street sweepers through. Communications I've had with you is, cars are in the way and like that. So again, if we can educate and empower the residents, the store owners to say, hey, these are our opportunities. I think we should continue to look forward and try to get this moving in a faster direction. And again, if it's just a small pilot, at least we're showing, again, the city and people throughout that, you know. we
Oh,
care
that's a
about
good
the
idea.
people
Let's get a
throughout the
small
city.
pilot that can draw a really small street
Councilor
sweeper.
Chairman,
And
I
then
like
there's no
that.
limitations.
Counselor, here said.
That's that outside the box thinking we need, Ojeda.
So a few streets, and he said it's a pretty sad sight. And that could be said across the city, not only in District 4, but all over the city.
George Russell was considerably less cranky
Chairman,
than he was last
I'm
week
gonna
about
show
the
you my
rental
age a
registry.
little bit. When I was at a property on Hamilton Street.
He seemed to have settled down, and he
the
filed
board
his own
complaining about litter because everyone go to the
order,
Hunt
which is
Farm
coming
and
up,
this,
to
that,
send
litter that's
all the
on
money
road.
back to people who
Whatever,
have
and they would walk
paid
two
into the
steps
rental
from
registry
my
so far.
building was a
He
couple
filed
of
that.
doors away, and
He
it's
filed
just
that, and
all
he
that
explained that it's more money than he thought it was originally.
Commissioner Moyle.
So since it's more money, then the city has to keep it. If it was less money, then he would want
He said,
the money to be given
Mr.
back.
He thought it was like
Business
$50.
owner, being George Russell at the time. He's, I'll tell you what, I'll
But
give you
we
a-
also have an order from him coming up. I think it's 2 orders from now to get an opinion on how an ordinance can be repealed. So we'll see about that.
So the water would run through, and the city
It
would collect
is
enough to pick up those
over the
bags.
last week. It has struck me that I think Eric, the city manager, seems to have done a pretty good job of saying, like, look, we can make changes to this, but just keep in mind, y'all voted on this 3 years ago and
Yeah,
didn't even discuss it when you voted on it.
The city government and the city businesses.
But at the same time, I have to imagine, because they all have their weekly private meetings with the manager. There must have been some uncomfortable conversations there where most of them who made a lot of noise were forced to recognize they were talking some nonsense publicly. And for
Right.
anyone who actually understands how anything in real estate works, that they sound kind of dumb.
Let's talk about dealing with the litter problem citywide. Especially
Bad for
in
business.
our urban neighborhoods that I've been talking about, it seems on a weekly basis.
George just
Mo
admitted
Bergman.
Administration.
What's that,
poking
Travis?
holes. George just admitted to poking holes in trash bags to let the water run out of the trash bags so that the DPW guys will come pick them up. And I'm pretty sure he just admitted to contamination.
That's awesome.
And he's now making shame that business owners don't sweep in front of their businesses anymore. Sorry, didn't mean to talk over.
Let's do some extra work. Let's send this item to the administration, and then when it comes.
Dang, I
back,
didn't know he was a vigilante like that. He just pulls out a pocket knife and just gives it like.
He said he had a deal going with DPW, and that was the thing he had to do, which doesn't make sense.
I actually think that.
Oh, Brendan, also, Candy is dressed like a side character in Midsummer tonight.
At this point, not like we have a program in place.
Like just a floral crown would really tie the whole thing
Down
together.
a lot of these business corridors.
How often did you go out and sweep in front of Woodbury when you were
and for all of the
in charge of
residents
that
who live in this
establishment?
area, it's every
Pretty
day.
frequently. I'll definitely admit to the longer I was there, the lazier I got with it. But a lot of that had to do with construction going on in the area, that like no matter what you did, something was going to happen that was going to make it dirty again. But that was actually one of those weird things that, especially when I was like fresh down there, getting in early and coming out with a broom and like sweeping the sidewalk and like meeting all the neighbors and just like talking to people coming by. It was pretty awesome.
It's not just some
sounds pretty awesome.
streets, It's many of the streets in the city. And
That was one of the things that I definitely
we always
miss
hear,
about that place was like
and
spending mornings like yelling back and forth with like Paulie, the guy who owns Tech Pizza, and just because he yells like an old Greek guy, like he just yells. That's how he talks. So like we would just yell at each other, totally
and
friendly.
The same in the park.
And then ending nights at Sahara
parks is
with a never-ending bottle of Jameson on the bar. I'm like, that was a great little corner.
And
That sounds pretty fun.
quite honestly, I think a pilot.
One of my favorite
program,
stories you ever told me was the shit you got for some of the flags you chose to fly outside of the ice cream shop, specifically the Star Wars one.
I mean, that actually came up in public meetings. That like because there were a bunch of old Worcester cranks who thought that the rebel flag from Star Wars was a communist flag.
I don't know what's been done differently. I know that in the big
so good.
district, obviously,
I remember running into Gary at Gary Rosen at an event where he pulled me aside and started asking me, like, he was very anxious and like asking me if it was a communist flag, and I was looking at him like, "What are you talking about?" And he's like, "The flag." I said, "The rebel flag from Star Wars?" And he just started shaking his head like he didn't know what it was saying. I'm like, "Red leader, this is gold leader. I'm going in for my attack run," and he's just shaking his head like, "This is really Gary. Like, this is Star Wars we're talking about." He just had never seen a Star Wars movie.
What is a Star War, Brendan?
I mean, yeah, but that's just the idea that you'd be accused of being a communist, whether you are or not, because you had a flag from Star Wars hanging outside of your ice cream shop. That's a very weird and Worcester thing.
That's awesome. Gary Rosen did that?
It was people were complaining to Gary that Woburn was being run by communists because they had a communist flag hanging outside, but it was the rebel flag from Star Wars, which the whole thing came full circle when a former chief of staff to the current mayor, who will not be named, decided on May the 4th to raise that very rebel flag in front of City Hall, which we've got great video of as well.
That's amazing. I didn't know that last part.
Full circle. George Lucas approached writing Star Wars from the perspective that the rebels were the Viet Cong. He said that in a recent interview with, I think it was him and James Cameron. And he was like, "Yeah, I was modeling the Rebel Alliance after the Viet Cong." So you, in fact, kind of were hanging up a communist
flag.
Oops, all communists.
And pretty badass too, because Viet Cong, like one of the best ground armies that have ever existed.
One of the most brilliant, strategic.
Yeah. Brilliant, absolutely amazing.
Focus on illegal dumping and trash around the city, and then put together a street sweeping program or expanded street sweeping program, and then did the new bins and etc. So, and then now
let's just put out brooms in every neighborhood, and we'll all share.
Another strategy as well. Seems like every administration has to come up with strategies. But a few months back, I came up with a.
I think we should have the Viet Cong give a stab at running Worcester. I think we'd really get some stuff done.
The revamping of the quality of life team.
We get a sweet new tunnel system.
It's true. A really good tunnel system. I mean, Green Hill Park, the tunnels that you could build there.
Integration looks like and how we're going to address our neighborhoods.
Yeah, but every pothole would be filled with punji sticks.
The areas that we have problems in our city and addressing our trash. In addition to that, we're working with, like the commissioner mentioned, with sustainability and resiliency to try to create a master plan around zero waste. Because no matter how much money,
I cannot believe we're still talking about this item about fucking trash bins.
I've done that.
I heard that too, Mokro.
Communities across the nation have done that. There's always a level of trash that we can't get to.
Yeah, that's true. That's a fun fact. Yeah.
Mitigating. And municipal governments can't do it alone.
You should send the city manager a bill, System
It
Nomad.
requires business partners, and business partners in this community, in certain sectors of the community, have done a great job in doing that.
We should start invoicing the city manager for our time spent watching these meetings.
Requires everybody to be.
Oh my God.
Integrated.
Something fair, $20 an hour, you know?
Yeah. Times 3 though.
If you're going to throw
Right.
something away, you throw it on the floor.
But we'd have to operate like the cops, right? Like we either go 4 or 8 hours. So if this was 4 hours and 1 minute, we're building 8 hours.
Right. Yeah.
Throw these things away. And so
There must be a prevailing wage we could fit under.
We've been looking at this for a while. We are thinking about potentially.
We just want to make the top 100 list.
In the city to pilot in the near future.
Too many
So
cops.
this is something that's extremely
Not
important
enough
to us.
streamers.
But I think
we should be funded. We should be funded by the city. We should be funded by the city.
And this always seems to get lost, and I want to make sure that people.
New quest.
The public
Get Worcester Council Theater 3,000 funded by the city. How do we do it?
Well, they've invited media to reach out. You can talk to Tom and get on the invite list. I thought about doing it, saying that we're media. Because
whoever has the best goodwill with Tom Matthews should do it. Pretty sure that guy hates my guts.
I don't think he hates me.
So again,
well, there. That's. I think that you're.
The efforts of The same thing with Shrewsbury Street and the Shrewsbury Merchants.
I'd be happy to reach out.
Helping
We
with
should.
$10
It'd be so sick to
for
stream that
picking up
live.
trash in the
We're just
neighborhood.
like cracking jokes in the
However, we
back while he's
understand
talking.
Not every neighborhood, every business quarter has the means.
The way they've
like
presented
downtown
it, it
and some of
sounds
the
like it's open to
developers
the
and folks
public because they're
downtown
going to
to
have
be
a
able to sustain
dance
that and support that in the neighborhoods, and that's where we come into
performance.
place. And to
Okay,
help
that's
support
cool.
the
That's
neighborhoods.
a JMac.
And we're committed to that. We're going to stay committed. This is one of my priorities in the administration. That's why I've elevated Dan Cahill. That's why we're trying to put more effort and separate the work that they do and be more focused on trash, on blight in our community. And so you're going to see a lot more of that activity in the summers. But I welcome this conversation because I think this is something that's extremely important for a city at this moment in time, because my history of living in this community for over 30 years, I definitely can attest, especially someone who grew up in the city, on the east side of the city, lives on the east side of the city. I can definitely attest that the east side of the city needs attention, just like many other places in the city.
East
So
side.
this is something that we're definitely committed to. Thank you.
Thank you. So we can send
Mr.
this.
Chairman, can I just change a word in the order? I messed up the order.
What
It
is the
should-
word?
Mr. Chairman, it should not say downtown. It should be in the business corridors. We could strike downtown. Because I want to make sure Burncoat Street, Highland Street,
Okay, so
Pleasant, all
take
that.
out
So just business corridors. We could erase the downtown.
Okay, so send that
All
to
right.
the manager as amended. With any other orders up for the council.
Come on.
There's a weird thing when it comes to street sweeping that
Yes.
Yes.
so my street gets swept every week during the summer,
Really?
which is weird, right? And, like, it weirded me out because I remember there was one year where it kept coming up in council that people were asking for more street sweepers. Again, this is back when Gary Rosen was councilor or D5, and he didn't believe me when I told him that. I was like, dude, seriously, it's every Tuesday night we get a street swept. So I recorded it for him one night. Whatever. Guy's never seen Star Wars. You can only expect so much from him. So he did some digging. As it turns out, we have this old regulation that any emergency corridor in Worcester is swept weekly.
Yes.
I don't. Apparently, like fire trucks and ambulances or whatever, like they don't do well on sand. No, so there's a whole series of streets that get swept every week, and because of our proximity, we're on the path to the reservoir. We're one of them. But it's weird because there are street sweepers out all spring and summer and fall in certain corners of the city that like they could just start going down side streets. It's just nobody's asked them to.
Just expand the damn program. Good God.
But like even a city councilor who had been in government for like 20 years had no idea this ordinance existed, and nobody ever communicates it. So they keep making these asks that
As it reads.
they're already doing the thing that you're asking for. Just ask them to make like a couple rights, and you'll take care of all of those business corridors as well as the emergency corridors.
Yeah, right.
Yes.
It's asinine. I always thought that as a resident, like that my street only got swept once or twice a year.
H, request the manager work with the police chief and the city state delegation.
And I had a
Just on the wrong street.
Yeah, well, that's exactly it. I had a crazy neighbor that would put out his yard waste all season long because across the street was an N-Star or National Grid substation. So he would just put debris out all year.
Senator Kennedy was at the meeting and she
Sucked.
offered to help us look for different ways of state funding. So I just kind of want to put this forward and get it moving to help Lincoln Village out. Thank you.
You'll send that to the manager. Roll call.
But that's kind of the weird thing, though, Yenny. Like up over on this street, just to your point, like when we all mow our sidewalks, basically, so the lawnmowers are just blowing everything out into the street, knowing that it's going to be within the next week, everything is going to come by. So like, if you ever are on one of those streets that's an emergency corridor, you're probably going to see weirdos mowing their sidewalk that clearly doesn't need to be mowed, but it's for that just that reason.
What do we know about?
To me, that sounds like it's inspiring the residents to take care of their properties better because it empowers them to get rid of this waste that doesn't sit around.
There was some commentary about, like I mentioned, but to what degree do we have them, and what are the pros and cons for these readers? Do we know what they are before we ask the manager to?
We have license plate readers in Mass. We're just not allowed to issue citations for moving violations with cameras.
Across the entire city. That's actually one of the tools that is helpful when you're looking at crime, investigating crime in the city. That's actually one of the tools that was very helpful in capturing the individual that committed the murders most recently to both the mother and daughter in the city. This is a tool that police departments use to capture the license plate. It doesn't capture facial recognition, doesn't capture any kind of individuals. It captures the digits on the license plates and then recognizes that and is able to then provide that information to the department. So that's what we currently do within the city, is for our purposes of public safety investigatory only.
And through the chair to the administration, can you explain the state delegation's role in all this? It's referenced here because I'm not familiar.
Mr. Manager?
To the chair, to the council, I think in this matter here, it was more so working through the state delegation for funding to install this.
I wonder how it does with ghost plates.
It is a kind of camera, yeah. So it's the way they work is they're automated license plate readers. It's not anything that's getting flagged to from the way I understand it, it's like the officer in a cruiser isn't seeing any data, but it's literally reading any block of numbers or letters that's in view of the camera. So every single license plate in traffic, oftentimes it'll pick up like signage as well too, that's low level. It's just reading everything. It's just an old school form of AI for character recognition. And that's usually how they tag vehicles that there are bolos out for, or stolen vehicles or whatever the case may be. The officer will only get a flag if there's a positive hit on a license plate or tag that is being looked for.
They're in almost every single major city. And as has been discussed, stated by the manager, the good outweighs anything that I can see in terms of making sure that we're able
Hey,
to,
it was gorgeous today. Was a wool
identify
coat
and
needed?
find someone who's committed a heinous crime. It's not like they're going after them and just watching them constantly. It's if there's reasonable suspicion, then they're there for
Except for that
resources.
one
And it's
cop
no
that gets
different
off on
than,
license plate
people
photos.
with their,
But we let him do his
video
thing.
cameras.
That's the reason we don't have camera enforcement in Massachusetts. It goes back to the legislature being smart enough to recognize that if they use them on places like the Mass Pike, you couldn't really be traveling anywhere, and also not have things come up in divorce proceedings when somebody started pulling tags for on and off ramps when you're on your way to see your mistress.
Thank you. So again,
that's funny.
I'm not familiar.
I mean, because all the modern stuff that there are some serious problems when it comes to citations at red lights. Like you find that because they're all third parties that maintain them. Oftentimes the third parties will then get involved with changing the timing on lights so that yellow lights are shorter and more people get tagged for running red lights and what have you. But it was when the Pike went on board with the Easy Pass system, they had the option of doing automated ticketing just based on average speed. And we made it illegal specifically for that reason. It was the legislature that didn't want to be getting jammed up because they're constantly speeding.
The councilor be in favor of maybe amending this and getting a report?
I'm following a TikTok account of a guy in New York City that's going around and coloring in ghost plates and unbending the cop plates, like coloring in the numbers right in the police parking lot.
Through the chair, I'm happy to
Like, do something about it, motherfuckers.
Okay. So we're going to hold this until, no, we send it to the manager for request for information regarding the license readers. All those in favor? Okay, roll call.
Councilor Bergman? Yes.
Yeah, no, I think that's a valid concern about it moving towards regular camera enforcement. But as it stands currently, state law bans it. And it's another one of those things that the legislature only banned it because they were worried about them being the ones that were going to be getting offenses. Like specifically the Senate, they have their own plates. And they're obviously not getting pulled over regularly for speeding. But the way that the Mass Pike was going to set things up, in a weird way, it kind of makes sense, right? Like you get on one exit, you get off another exit, average the speed. If it's over 20 miles over the posted speed limit, you can issue a ticket. The Senate and the legislature just recognized they would be the ones, they would not pass that test.
regarding this. This is an issue, the street vendor issue. Related issues have come before us a fair amount lately. I took a look at the cited part of the ordinance regarding street vendors, and it was very unclear as to whether there were any age restrictions. In fact, I didn't see any at all, but my understanding is that when somebody goes for a work permit, there is. So I think there's some, maybe a disconnect or some more information that could be helpful in correcting that disconnect. And maybe the disconnect doesn't exist, and we're just assuming something that isn't the case. So I'm looking for an opinion from the law department as to whether or not there is an age restriction. And if there is, whether we can change it to age 14 and above. Oftentimes, young folks, especially during the summertime, could have an opportunity, as was stated by the public, to raise some money doing some sort of busking opportunities. And I don't know why we would limit it to 60.
I want to see roving packs of dance crews busking for money all around the common all summer.
It is, I mean, I'm going to guess that I'm thinking the same thing that Bill is, that it is kind of weird when it's coming from Mo, because this is very much like a child labor thing. And like considering last week he was like making the argument that we need to be putting 14-year-olds in prison, in adult prisons for life. That like, I'm not sure I want to take his approach to making sure that 14-year-olds can be working as street vendors.
Us collaborating with.
Yeah, they're all going to be hawkers pushing carts full of crap.
In my heart of hearts, like I think it's awesome, but like just coming from Mo, it's fucking with me.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah.
It sounded weird before when we were talking about it.
Kind of, I know we'll come back with a report, but I just want to state that there is no age limit in the busking. The thing here is that any individual, any young person, age 14 and above, or is under the age of 18 that is looking to work, or I believe under the age 16 that's looking to work, just like any other employment opportunity, they need to seek a school permit, need to get a work permit, and they go to the school and obtain that. But there is no current age limit in our ordinance. But any individual under a certain age has to go and obtain a permit from the school district to be able to do that. So we'd be more than happy to work with the school department so that they can be able to provide those opportunities for the individuals who are looking to busk in the city under the age of, I believe, is 17 or 16. Thank you.
I want to get a choir of 14-year-olds, and together we're going to sing ditties.
Send that to the manager. Roll call.
Diddy would like that, especially the.
Oh shit!
Yes.
That was a bad choice of words.
Yes.
Councilor Hayda?
Yes.
Councilor Pasillo?
Yes.
Councilor Russell?
Yes.
Councilor Toomey?
Yes.
Mayor Petty? Yes. Okay. Request of the city manager review the larger number of streets with permanent winter parking ban signage on them, determine if such signage is needed given how few snow days have recently occurred and the challenge associated with on-street parking. Councilor Bergman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Christ almighty.
Became familiar with the subject some time ago when I was fortunate enough to be on
Why does it matter?
Subcommittee, and then I've heard references to it, to filling in the traffic and parking and otherwise. I had our clerk's office send me a list of the streets that are affected by a permanent winter parking ban. So here's a list, and I took a quick look. It seems to be about 300 streets, and just so I'm clear on what I'm asking is when the winter parking ban's in effect, you just cannot park on that street from December 15th to March 15th. Permanent winter parking ban. There's over 100 streets in which there's a permanent winter parking ban on both sides of the streets. Now, some of them are major thoroughfares, and there may be public safety reasons to have a permanent parking ban on the street. But some of them, and I've been a lifelong resident.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea, man, Southbound. Like, legitimately, jokes aside.
But these are not major thoroughfares.
Why not?
Now, I said there's about 300 streets, but 100 are permanent. The other 200 have some sort of permanent winter parking ban on either one side, the even, or on the odd side. I checked with our emergency services. In the last 3 years, we've averaged 5 winter snow days where we get the phone call to take the car off the street and temporary winter ban. It seems to me that we're precluding cars from parking on most of these streets for 90 days between December 15th and March 15th.
Yeah, but nobody's enforcing it.
Over the last number of years.
This is quite possibly the most boring order
And then in those days,
You
we all
can
get the phone
come
call.
up
So I
with.
don't understand why people on a street that has a permanent winter parking ban can't get the same phone call the rest of us get. And the other, 3 months minus 5 days, they can park on the street. Now, I'm not saying again that there aren't certain streets that maybe that doesn't make sense. There may be public safety reasons regarding police, fire, and ambulance. I know we don't want to tow any more cars than we have to, but it seems to me that we're losing a lot of parking spaces for 90 days when we're averaging 5 snow days a year, when those same folks that are affected by the permanent winter parking ban can do what the rest of us do and get the phone call on a temporary winter parking ban and take the cars off the street for 5 days instead of the other,
5 days.
90 days minus 5. So I'm asking
Oh,
for a
5
report back.
snowstorms.
I was surprised to see the number of streets and the number of streets that don't seem to be major thoroughfares. So perhaps I'm missing something, but I hope we can get a report back and have further discussion. Thank
No
you.
one talking about this. No one talking about this. No one else. No one else. No one else.
Councilor
Okay.
Bergman?
Woo!
Councilor GA?
Yes.
Councilor King?
Yes.
Councilor Carlson?
Yes.
Councilor Mian?
All right, one more order.
Rita?
Yes.
Kate Toomey conducting a citywide crisis response
damn it.
training.
As it
Request the mayor
reads.
to provide council with a report concerning the feasibility of conducting a citywide crisis response training. Council Toomey.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. It's been some time since we've had a citywide training program for crisis response. And considering the increase in population, the increase in buildings that have been built, I think it's incredibly important that we're
I
prepared.
worked with a guy that
for a
would do
multitude
crisis
of
trainings,
potential,
and he did like one
crisis
major one with
situations,
Boston PD and stuff
ensuring
like
that all
that.
of our departments
And they
stay
had
together.
hired some
And I'm
actor to
familiar
go
with
into
how
the subway
buildings work
system in
in
full
town.
army fatigues to do this whatever drill. And he says one of the funniest things is that some nice old lady went up to a guy in a balaclava and gave him $1 and said, "Thank you for your service."
Yes.
Councilor GA?
Yes.
All right, here's the moment of truth. Are we going to be out of here or are we going to be here for another hour?
Yes.
Councilor Hida?
Yes.
Oh, wait, no, there's
Priscilla?
another one before that.
Russell?
Yes.
Councilor Toomey?
Yes.
Mayor Petty?
Yes, 10B, that the City Council of the City of Worcester does hereby support the Worcester Public Schools advocacy for a higher inflation rate on the fiscal year 2025.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This order basically asks us to align our advocacy with the Massachusetts Association of School Superintendents.
Budget
the
fish order,
Massachusetts
that's right.
Association of School Committees, the Mass Teachers
Oh, speaking of
Association,
school committee, there was some weirdness that started off the whole stream, Brendan.
They've all jointly called the
Red Metro
legislature
Worcester was filming Tracy over her shoulder yesterday.
over into this next year.
Did I send you the?
Last week.
Did I sent you the clip, right? I think I sent it to a group text thread that we had. Yeah, the Facebook post there.
Yeah. Yeah.
So nobody really seems to know who they were. It was in talking to Tracy, she remembers that it was an older couple that were holding what was described to me as like a circa 1980s video camera. They were like filming the meeting.
So it wasn't Jay himself.
It was not. No, it was an older couple that was not recognized by anybody who was in the chamber.
That has recused himself from this. And,
I wonder if it was Jay in
roll call.
costume.
Councilor Bergman? Yes. Councilor Caloria?
Skies.
Councilor GA?
Yes.
Councilor
Really
King?
fucking weird though, because they
Councilor
were
Carlson?
perched
Mian?
there for specifically that reason.
Councilor Hida has recused himself. Councilor Basillo?
Yes.
But I also
Councilor
think that
Councilor Toomey?
Yes.
and Mayor
I feel
Petty.
like we inadvertently created some of this
Roll call. We got actual
by
services.
pointing out that time that Kate was texting during a moment of silence,
Councilor Bergman?
and that a lot of the townies missed
Yes.
that the point was
Councilor
Kate was
GA?
texting
Yes.
Councilor
during a
King?
moment of silence, not that
Not
she
that
was
she was
texting.
Councilor Carlson?
Yeah, right.
Councilor
I
Mian?
think
Now
everybody
they just
kind
think
of
texting is a crime.
Yes.
Councilor Hida?
it's not a conspiracy. That's a normal form of communication.
Councilor
That's
Toomey?
like, yeah.
Yes.
Mayor Petty?
Yes, we're going to take the following items up collectively on the roll call, 13A, 13E. Before we do, you want Councilor Russell before we do that?
What the hell was Moke doing? He was like opening a door while still in his chair.
I think it's 13C, maybe I'm.
Oh, he let Ojeda in.
The one about the equipment to Public Works Committee.
Okay, that is, I believe you are looking. Yep, 13C. Okay, so 13C, we're going to take a motion to send that to Public Works Committee. 13A, 13B.
Did you watch
13B,
KT, Brendan?
13E is a motion to adopt on the
Hmm?
roll call.
Did you watch Kill Tony?
I skipped this one intentionally, man. I just couldn't do it.
Sure.
It's pretty fucking funny. Just watch the cam clips.
I know it's
because-
gonna be. I saw that clip in advance. Because
Good.
they're taped like 2 weeks in advance.
Yeah.
That my mother fucking hates you. My grandmother fucking hates you line is fantastic. But
That's the only thing I'm telling you need to see. Because he was like, no, she doesn't mean it. And it's like, yeah, what the fuck she does.
Now, if you have the information.
there's this tiny little part of my brain that like really wants to believe all these comedians are genuinely like decent human beings, and like they just happen to be dummies who are getting roped into weird political angles and whatnot. But to see like that Joe Rogan is just kind of hanging out in Austin with Tucker Carlson, and
They
like
were
not
out
even
to
for a
dinner.
show, they're just hanging out. It's like, you know,
Yeah.
It's another summer upon us, and that's a
Yeah.
utilized park, particularly.
that little part of my brain is dying off very quickly.
Made any headway, and I see $250
Yeah, I wasn't
million
stoked to see it. But I had to watch. My
Park
curiosity,
and
my
football
board
program, and I'm
curiosity
all
was
for
too
that,
strong.
But I'm just wondering.
So wait, Tucker Carlson was on Kill Tony?
Yeah.
Be an improvement, which is to raise the
Joe
levels
Rogan
of
and him were
water,
out to dinner,
get rid of the weeds,
and
get it
Joe
back
was
to
like,
the
"Here, I
way
got
it
a
is."
surprise for you." Brought him
Get some
backstage and brought him out on stage, and then he was there for the rest of the show.
Or unless the city manager has the information now.
Mr. Manager?
To the chair, to the council, these dollars will also help to support that. We've also worked with the federal, the state delegation to get some earmark dollars as well for the support of Elm Park. We are going to, and there's actually one of the questions I asked recently to our Commissioner of Parks, to get more clarification on what exactly.
I was clearing out, but I can't clear
We
out
are
this
gonna
old
take care of
Wally
the
meme.
weeds. We are going to take care of the edging around
This is too
the
strong.
pond. Do some additional-
It was kind of fun to be reminded that the whole rental registry thing was Matt Wally's idea in 2019.
To also
Yep.
take care of some of kind of some species, invasive species that are on the side. On the pond as well. On the
Why is Paul making us think about this environmental grant? This shit
so they are
happens all the
significant
time.
efforts. This dollars just continue to support those. And so I'd be happy to come back with a report on that, but we're definitely going to be putting some significant work into Elm Park Pond this upcoming season.
I heard the city manager believes in soaking.
Mr. City Manager, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
You still want to report?
I'm satisfied at the moment that I think we're going to I'll probably ask for a more extensive report around budget time when we have some of the departments here. So I'm fine for now.
Okay, thank you. So we'll take 13A and B, D and E, motion to adopt on the roll call. C is going to go to Public Works Committee. 14A and B, motion to propose ordinance accept and adopt on the roll call on both of those. And 15A through 15G, motions are Dane on the roll call. Take those collectively, roll call.
I'm sorry.
All right, now we're on table under privilege.
15A.
16A,
15G.
pilot program.
14A and B.
I just went over that. 14A and B, both to advertise proposed ordinance.
Spicy.
Adopt on the
I'd
roll
like to
call.
speak on A and B.
Okay, sure. Councilor King.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I do understand this came out of the Municipal Operations and Legislative Affairs Committee. My experience with these contracts is that we generally go into executive session for discussion, Mr. Chairman. And that's what I'd like to see happen. I have some questions. And so I would ask that that be sent to Municipal Operations for further discussion. That's what I'd like to see happen, Mr. Chairman.
We already did it. It's already been done.
Councilor Bergman.
Just some clarification. So we did discuss this in municipal operations, so I'm not quite sure what my colleague is asking us to do as far as we did an
I
executive
can't hang either. This is getting brutal.
operations, and then my understanding
Hey, Molly.
Good night, Molly.
comes out of
Coward.
back here for our vote. I've already been through an executive session. Maybe there could be some clarification, but I don't know what the purpose would be to put it back into MO for another executive session.
Okay.
Councilor King.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. For clarification, I was part of negotiating the initial contract. We had subsequent contracts. The last contract, we were in a full executive session of the council. Prior to that, we did executive session in municipal operations when I was chairing it. That came out, and then we gave the council the opportunity to weigh in on it in detail. I can certainly weigh in detail on the floor. I think would be more appropriate to weigh in detail in executive session, Mr. Chairman. That would be the purpose.
I don't know if it's subject to executive session now. Only because it's already out in the public. And there was no, this is my understanding, but I could be wrong.
Mr. Chairman?
I'm just asking the chair a question. Is this?
Mr. Chairman,
I'll
this
get
is
to it in
out
a
of order,
second.
Mr. Chairman.
What's out of
This is
order?
the purpose of the executive session, to have these sorts of questions answered
I'm not
without
asking-
the clerk being present. I mean, if we want to have a discussion of this, we can.
Yeah, I'm just asking him a
I don't know that's
question.
appropriate.
Well, we get a legal opinion, but my question to the chairman is, I thought everything in this contract was everything that we give him anyways. Am I wrong?
My understanding, Mr. Chairman, my belief, I should say, not my understanding, is that what we agreed on in this contract was everything that had been asked for and the council was aware of at the last discussion at the previous contract with, well, there really wasn't a contract, but coming to terms with the clerk for his employment, we had gone over the terms of what was likely to be the next contract, and I believe we faithfully executed or agreed.
All right, I was going to try to wait
A year ago. So
to eat after this, but I think we're going to be here a little while.
I'll let you tell me if it does.
I
So we
totally
have-
forgot about that time that we completely forgot
Okay.
I believe we
that the
faithfully
clerk doesn't have a contract. Really doesn't have a job. It's just kind of like a guy who shows up and just happens to get a check, and there's no job description really. There's just this office that has been for time immortal.
Okay. And
That was a good night.
He probably should go to the city manager anyways for the revised ordinance and his recommendation.
See your Nico's in the chat if you're still here.
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
It was like an uncomfortable peek behind the curtain for these people that the city council really doesn't need to exist at all.
Yeah.
Like Nico was getting his paycheck, city manager was paying him.
And the
Didn't matter that they had that all fucked up.
was there. This is a contract that currently, there is nothing different than what our current city clerk is receiving now. We left the meeting here and went into executive session, and we came back out and reported executive session. So, Mr. Chairman, I would ask for, again, I believe that we went into executive session. We reported we were going in executive session. We came out of executive session and reported on what took place in executive session. So
Yes. Nico is just sitting there as they talk about
of
him.
how this process took place. And again, I totally understand
3-hour
there's,
mark.
times when people can't make these committee meetings. But again, I just want to emphasize that there is nothing in this contract that the current city clerk does not receive at this time. Thank you.
Okay. Councilor King?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, just want to like this
Point of order.
to an executive session, please. That would be the motion.
Questions on that? Councilor Russell?
He hasn't really explained why.
More confusion to the item, but my colleague, Councilor Carlson, says she was at the committee. Is she on the committee? So, all right, so I didn't know about the meeting either, so I don't know. I just,
You can go to any public meeting you want. Right.
even including
Okay.
executive sessions of
I don't,
subcommittees? And I'd just like to compare it to the auditors.
I know the answer to
That's
that.
all, I'd just like to see what the auditor had.
Okay. What do you want, Councilor Russell?
I'd like to, is this?
Are they going to go into executive session right now?
That's all.
We didn't give it, we already did the pay raise a year ago. We
Is
didn't
this
give
the
it.
same pay?
Yes.
Oh, it's the same pay?
Nothing's changed in this. This
Oh,
is
so
everything he
then
gets
there's
now.
nothing to talk about.
Correct.
Okay, it's the same pay.
What
That's
the
it. I
fuck,
thought it was a
idiots?
change in pay. Is it?
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, can I provide some clarification? Will you allow me?
Sure.
So to the council, so last year, the city council met in executive session with the city clerk.
Poor guy has to
You
talk
voted on
about
a
his own
raise
goddamn
last year.
job.
You also have 2 orders that were provided to you tonight from last year. You vote on the pay starting in March of 2024. You also voted that the council in committee negotiates a contract, and that's
Right.
what has happened.
I really do think that some of our city
Tonight
councilors
is the product of
think
those
that
orders
like
from last
open
year.
meeting law
Contract
extends to just like
met in executive
learning
session
things
last year.
and like talking
There's
to
2 orders
people.
before you tonight.
Like they
and
have
then
to
you
do
voted
all
on
of that
4
on
months
the floor.
So the report of the
They
committee is
can't
what's
just,
before you tonight.
you know, call people on their cell phones and ask simple clarifying
There's
questions. They
no
have to.
change on salary. There's
And
no
there's no
change
change
of
in
what
any
you
of that.
agreed 12
Okay,
months
so I'm
ago.
ready to support it.
Yep.
Okay. Councilor Bergman?
I rarely respond to questions regarding procedure because we've all had our challenges and we should question procedure. But I just want to make something clear because when the suggestion is that there's somehow something underhanded that took place, that people didn't know about it, all of us have shown up at subcommittee meetings, if we've been on the council any length of time, for subcommittees that we're not members of. There's nothing that prevents that. The agenda lists the subcommittee. The agenda tonight lists what subcommittees are coming up. So this whole notion that, gee, I didn't know about it, really bothers me because this is a public document. It comes out ahead of time and we've all participated in other people's subcommittee meetings. And all of a sudden this like surprise, like, gee, I didn't know about it. Well,
I'd be
okay,
like
you
voting on a
know
rental
about it, but
registry and
it's a
then
document,
3 years
it's
later
public
pretending
document.
as though you'd never heard about it.
Now, I'm not faulting anybody that couldn't be there, but I'm also not going to blame people that wanted to make the effort that aren't on the committee to be there. So I just want to be clear that this wasn't some meeting that I called up people, you know, and told them privately to show up and, you know, excluded some people and invited other people. That didn't happen, never happened, never will happen as long as I'm a chair of a committee. And that's not what anybody that showed up intended to do.
A waste of time.
So I just want to be clear. I'm not trying to
That's
be
what the fuck this
harsh
is.
on anybody that might have questioned this, but I need to be responsive because the suggestion that somehow it's unusual for people not on the committee to show up is just not true.
Okay. So this has been reported out of the committee.
Jello
And
wrestling
there's
match.
nothing really subject to executive session here, so it can't go back to executive session. So the motion is either to vote this up or down. So,
Motion to hold, Mr. Chairman.
under privilege?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is held on 14A.
Motherfuck.
Okay, so we're going to take those other items except 14A and B. Roll call.
Councilor Bergman?
Yes.
Councilor Calorio?
Yes.
Councilor Haji?
Yes.
Councilor King?
Yes.
Councilor Merrill
Christian is
Carlson?
becoming obstinate.
Councilor Nia?
Yes.
Councilor Ojeda?
Yes.
Councilor Pasillo?
Yes.
Councilor Russell?
Yes.
Councilor Toomey?
Yes.
And Mayor Petty.
Yes. Next item is
Yeah, Christian and
16A.
Mo are gearing up for blows.
The privilege. So we need a roll call. on
Yeah, this
that.
does seem like it's personal
Councilor
shit back and
Bergman?
forth.
Councilor Calorio?
City council
Yes.
specialty.
Haji?
Yes.
Councilor King?
Yes.
Councilor Merrill Carlson? Councilor Nia?
It doesn't look good for anyone involved.
Yes.
Councilor Ojeda?
Also true.
Yes.
Councilor Pasillo?
Yes.
Councilor Russell?
Yes.
Councilor Toomey?
Yes.
And Mayor Petty.
Yes. 16B, Manager Transmitting Information Communication of the street resurfacing sidewalk repair, Council Merrill Carlson.
As it reads.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I would ask that this item be recommitted back to Commissioner Raleigh. Currently, the clerk and Commissioner Raleigh's office is working on the streets and sidewalks and speed humps. So along
Hey,
with
easy with the
that,
H word.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to request the city clerk provide city council with a report at its next meeting detailing a list of all streets and sidewalks approved by city council from 2020 to present, as well as all speed hump installation considered for discussion by the city council since the inception of the resolution for a speed hump pilot program, which was on June 6, 2020.
Okay, so send recommit that along with the report. Roll call.
Councilor Bergman?
Yes.
Councilor Calorio?
Yes.
Councilor Haji?
Yes.
Councilor King?
Yes.
Councilor Merrill Carlson?
Yes.
Councilor Nia?
Hi, Brian.
Yes. Councilor Ojeda?
Yes.
Councilor Patillo?
Yes.
Councilor Russell?
Yes.
Councilor Toomey?
Yes.
Mayor Petty?
City manager recommend adoption.
He
of
didn't say
amendment to
yes.
Noise ordinance. Roll call.
Councilor Bergman?
Yes.
Councilor Calorio?
Yes.
Councilor G.I.?
Yes.
Councilor King?
Yes.
Councilor Carlson?
Yes.
Councilor Nguyen?
Speaking of speed humping, has everybody seen Poor
Russell?
Things, the movie Poor
Toomey?
Things?
Yes.
Mayor Petty?
Yes.
I think you're muted, Bill.
Suspension. Councilor
Furious
King.
jumping.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr.
What a
Peters.
beautiful movie that is. Like the
I
first
loved it. Yeah.
20 minutes, I like, what the fuck is going on here? And that
I'm
was
asking
like an
to
absolutely beautiful
request the
movie.
manager that in light of
It was touching at
conversations
the
around
end.
school
Yeah,
building
it was
costs
incredible.
last week And the timelines within the upcoming budget, request the manager look
Do you
at our
guys
5
recognize we don't have another
guide
meeting
for
until
financial
May?
structure moving forward to reflect the school building finance needs for the new schools as well as renovations for existing schools.
Roll call.
April 16th is no meeting for school break.
Councilor Bergman?
23rd is no meeting for
Yes.
Passover.
Councilor G.I.?
And the
Councilor
30th
King?
is also
Yes.
no meeting
Councilor
for
Carlson?
Passover.
Councilor Nguyen?
Oh,
Yeah,
Oh,
it is.
yes.
It's
Councilor Ojeda?
that's the week of
Yes.
Passover.
Councilor Patillo?
Yes.
all right.
Councilor Russell?
Yes.
Councilor Toomey?
Yes.
Well, it's
Mayor
not like they
Petty?
need to meet.
Yes.
They don't need
No.
to exist.
Roll call.
Councilor Bergman?
It sounds like we won't be hanging out until the 7th,
Councilor
y'all.
G.I.?
Yes.
Councilor
Yeah.
King?
Yes.
Councilor Carlson?
Well, we have other programs.
We do have other programs.
Yes.
Councilor Ojeda?
Yes.
Councilor Patillo?
Yes.
Councilor Russell?
Yes.
Oh, man.
Councilor Toomey?
Yes.
Mayor Petty?
Yes.
Attell looks to be leaving frustrated. What did anything transpire early on that wasn't great?
No,
Nothing specific.
she spoke about the rental registry and was frustrated about that. But nothing too. I think that probably the frustration is having your time wasted.
Yeah.
I would be extremely frustrated.
Oh, right.
Oh, true. Okay, good point. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so not much to learn from this meeting, honestly. The rental registry updated ordinances went to economic development, I think, for a committee hearing, and that passed unanimously. So I think we're done with the rental registry. Fracas, embarrassing as it was. And then that's kind of the only thing that happened of any note or consequence here. I can't think of anything else that was too important. What else did we learn?
Some
we
guys
talked
running
to-
against Jim McGovern, and they yelled at him.
Oh yeah, that was funny. Some guy tried to announce his candidacy in public comment to run against Jim McGovern, and the mayor was just like, "We don't do that." And he's just like, "Okay."
I love
Yeah.
when Jim has like really crazy opponents.
I know. His she had a real QAnon person last time, Lori, whatever.
Yeah.
I can't remember. Yeah. I didn't catch this guy's name, but he seemed like he might be crazy. So we'll see. We'll see about that. But yeah, I don't know. Other than that, I got not much to add. Any takeaway, Travis, Brendan?
This all thing could have been an email, but I appreciate
Yeah.
all the commenters hanging out with us and making it more enjoyable.
Yeah. Thanks for hanging out as always, guys. Brendan usually does these outros. I'm not going to try to do that.
I mean, Brian.
Oh yeah, Brian does. Yeah, sorry.
Follow Bill. This is where you can follow Bill.
Yeah, right. Follow
This is
me.
where
at
you can
Worcester
follow
City.
us.
Follow us there. That's right. Yep. Follow us there.
Follow the boys.
Follow
They do the ha-has.
Whitney there.
And let's go home.
All right, perfect. Thank you everyone for hanging out. And book club next Thursday. Next Thursday at 7 p.m. Yeah. So
Find Bill on his Instagram. He'll probably put up information there, and we'll reshare it on WCT 3000.
exactly. All right. Take care, everyone.
Have a good week.
See you next Tuesday. No, see you in a month.